All right, everyone. This is session 15 of Dragonlance. We've been playing since, I believe, October of last year, so a little over a year, about 14 months. We have seen a lot, we've done a lot, and I'm really, really excited about this session. I'm going to move us over to a different map very quickly. Let me make sure I've adjusted my music settings real quick. There we go. Do y'all remember this? Out of curiosity. This is from one of our very, very first sessions. We've come a long way. It's been a wild story as we're exploring a truly fantastic, wonderfully crafted world in Dragonlance. And I'm really excited about this session. Now I'm curious. As the gods of Kryn move in unseen ways, their hands shaping fate long before mortals could recognize their touch, was it when the party first spied the statues on that shore that destiny took hold? Or had the gods already chosen them long before that, their paths set in motion, like ripples on the river? Was it the gods who decided that all four of you, Tarlin, Calixto, Jesse, Aethelflaed, and Faraday, let's say five, ended up in that boat with that old man? You've seen a lot of stuff over the last 15 months as players, and of course, your characters have seen infinitely more. Bizarre, strange, mysterious things. You saw a temple of Paladine and other gods, old gods, ancient, kind of talked about as rumors, sort of whispered. Nobody truly knew if they were real. Almost wives' tales, superstition. But then things just started happening. You found yourself performing a trial with Tarlin as he explored the wonderful world of magic. You fought a gelatinous cube. You saw this really cool temple, and you climbed that tree, Calixto, and you found a really powerful weapon up there. Aethelflaed, you learned blacksmithing, and you became a better craftsman thanks to old Dugan Redhammer. But it wasn't all fun. You have seen true horrors, things of absolute darkness. Of course, the Draconians. What you didn't realize was these were the good Draconians. These die when you kill them. But at the time, they were horrific as they ambushed the party. You met Kimmy and Bimmy on the steps of Vogler as you made your way to the city, teeming with life. You've met a lot of people in the city of Vogler, and at the time, you were just kind of making your way. There was a funeral for Isbin Greenshield, and you all kind of explored this new city. Saw a lot of interesting people. You witnessed a funeral. There's a lot of stuff that's happened in this town. You've made some connections. Um, Tarlin, before all this Chemosh business started, you were already diving into these weird visions. Death has been following you, and now it's no different. In fact, it's almost like death is hunting you. Chemosh keeps trying to make these deals with you and has made deals with your companions. One of those stipulations is that Jesse be slain at the hands of Calixto. The other is that Aethelflaed kill Becklin Uthviharan, who has been nothing but good to you and nothing but good to the city. Death has been hunting you, all three of you, mercilessly. You met Mayor Raven. You met Team Rocket, wherever they're at in the universe, probably causing no good. You've explored the city of Vogler. You've made these connections, these relationships. You've certainly seen your fair share of monsters, right? Let me find the monsters. Sorry. You've seen truly horrific things, and for a lot of this time, you've been on your heels. Um, you've fought draconians that wouldn't die. And as you did so, you thought the worst thing you could possibly lose was your life, right? Maybe not so. You were told by Chemosh, god of death, to kill Ignia the red dragon. You ended up killing Grogdar, and you met a very important entity in all of your lives, Chemosh, god of death. And he made this bargain with you. Tarlin, as you've been having these visions of death, as you've seen bodies on the battlefield rise and come to life, a war that in your mind hadn't at that time started yet, that you knew nothing of, but seems more and more imminent. You very quickly agreed for unlife, immortality. But is this a deal that will empower you, embolden you, and make you gods yourselves, kings? Or will this be something that inevitably doesn't have the return on the investment that you'd hoped for? Now, this isn't the only mythical entity that you've conversed with. Tarlin, you of course spoke to. Oh, that's a hammer. Hold on. I don't think it's supposed to do that. Okay. It stopped doing that. Oh, it didn't. Okay. That's fine. You talked to Magic in a hallway. He's the guy with the hammer. Aethelflaed, you talk to this giant creature who has been banging on a very audible hammer and an anvil. He gives you an impression of Dugan Redhammer, who taught you the ways of improving your armaments and helping out the party. And then Calixto, you of course spoke to this Minotaur creature that empowered you right before you fought your Gregoris fight in front of Ignia and reclaimed the honor of Cudgel, Iron Smile. But we're about to start a new chapter. Brings us to tonight. Now, you've just explored this horrific cave. Something that comes from only the mind of a horrible wizard. You have found yourself in Vogler. In our last session, Aethelflaed, Tarlin, and Calixto, you stood face to face with the specter of a ghastly, unyielding horror. Spirit clawed at Aethelflaed's soul, a cold grasp pulling at the edges of her very being, but she resisted. And then Faraday emerged. At the sight of her companion, and with a flood of memory, she found freedom. Yet in that moment, another presence reached for her. Chemosh, the Lord of Bones, whispering his dark and sick will. He urged her to take hold of the spirit, to claim dominion over death itself and wrestle herself free. Aethelflaed seized the creature by its spectral face, and while your first attempt failed, Aethelflaed, on your second attempt, you forced the entity to kind of writhe in your grip. You didn't relent, and with that sheer force of will, you crushed this creature's very essence, and the spirit dissipated into nothingness. And while there was no pain, you look at your forearm, you look at your hand, and it just melts away. The meat, the skin, just gone. And you see a very capable, very wieldy skeletal arm in front of you. You also feel as if something, it's a little different. You feel a sliver deep inside of the spirit's essence. You see these visions and these distorted memories that are not your own, but feel very real and tangible. And after this happened, the party pressed forward towards the treasure that you had been seeking in the first place, Aethelflaed. Now, beneath this water was a glint of shimmering gold. It looked like piles of gold by this gold chest in the water, dimly lit by sconces. And rightly, after reading the ramblings of this wizard, you realized that there's probably some danger associated with this chest. And Aethelflaed, you were correct as you used your mage hand to take a quick and very meaningful opening of the lid of this chest. And as you did, your suspicions were confirmed. You do see a black wave of darkness emitting from it, almost like a cloud. You can tell it's just negative, dark energy that you thankfully were nowhere close to when the chest was open. You also see, sitting next to that chest, a little gold statue, somewhat precious, and you've added that to your inventory. Now, you look inside the chest, and you see a spell book. And Tarlin, you do read a lot, and you decided to read once more that day. Hey, you can learn a lot of stuff from reading. And once you open that book, you see a blank page, you start flipping, and then it becomes more ominous, more foreboding, less inviting. And it starts to say die. You see pictures drawn of you dying, murderous scenes. You keep flipping, and then you feel your senses return to you. And as you pry your will from whatever tome this is, you slam it shut. And you think that everything's okay, the problems are gone, but in actuality, you do keel over. You fall seemingly limp, lifeless. You are alive, just unconscious. But a very startling, very scary scene, and perhaps something to keep in mind as you continue to kind of dance with these magical arts. It's not always safe, and it's not always easy. It's not always fun, and you had a close one. You watched the video that Faraday conveniently had recorded, and it did show Jesse in the area. And you decided to press on. Party pressed deeper into the cave, the weight of Jesse's fate lingering in your thoughts. And shadows clung to the damp stone, whispering of these forgotten secrets. And as you explored, you came upon a great wheel, almost like a loom, with kind of a crank mechanism. It was unmoving despite your efforts, but Aethelflaed, you were able to study it. You were able to identify that there was a locking mechanism. Conveniently enough, it was located directly underneath that platform. It was the first place you went to after exploring that area. And as you're about to use your mage hand to pull out this sword that stands in the stone, you all start to think about these clues, and you realize that it might be a better idea to push it in. And as you do, you disarmed the trap that was associated with that device, and Aethelflaed, upon more study, you were able to discern how this side of that mechanism works. Did fortify your mind, and now you are able to recreate with enough energy, enough willpower, enough time, some resources. You could create a locking mechanism and a trap that goes with it as well. Now, after you went back up, you were able to spin this wheel, and you found the world kind of twisting around you. In an instant, you stood before a door that basically led to nowhere. It was just across from where that wheel was, but it wasn't an obvious way to get over there. It was just kind of a door just stuck in a wall. But as you touch the door, that's when you find yourself transported. And you appeared in that small chamber, of course, surrounded by 4 chests, 3 unopened, 1 knocked over, and you see, more importantly, a statue of Jesse Zendok. The air was, of course, thick with tension, and after some of the horrors you had seen, you were very careful. You searched the chest that Jesse had seemingly kicked over, and you find a bag, and you do some experimentation. You realize it's a bag that can hold many, many things quite conveniently in this sort of subspace. You're able to put Jesse's statue in there. You also look on the ground, you see a sword of sort of, you can tell it's magical, but you're not sure what it does precisely. You can tell that it's elven. It says Thistle on the handle. It has some kind of elvish sort of looking runes, just graceful sort of font that runs up the blade. And you see some random artifacts next to some bones. And you kind of discern that there are some travelers that got probably trapped in here, probably starved to death, or maybe died of old age. You have these three chests in front of you, and you're kind of trying to figure out what to do. You're piecing together this riddle, but the words, it's like right there on the tip of your tongue, but you can't quite say what needs to be said. And that's when, Calixto, you are approached by the Lord of Bones himself, Chemosh, and he offers to help you out. But after seeing the horrors of what Aethelflaed has just endured, you realize that it might not be in your best interest to make this deal. And instead of taking the easy way out, you find yourself still in this room, no longer in contact with Chemosh, and it's driving you crazy. And you keep thinking and thinking, and you finally say age. And when you do, the magic around these chests sort of evaporates, kind of hums with some energy, glows for a moment, and dissipates. And you look in, you see a variety of treasure. You've got the Gauntlets of Ogre Power, bring your strength to 19. You've got Gloves of Deafness, granting a +5 to sleight of hand and lockpicking. 1,200 gold worth of gems, shimmering with untapped wealth. You've got the Cursed Tome of the presumably ancient wizard. Golden statue of immense value. We've also got the night vision goggles, and then the green gem with the stag etched on it is a Stone of Good Luck, granting a +1 to all checks and saves. Seems like a big deal. Seems pretty powerful. And then lastly, you find this unique magical artifact. It's a scepter covered in jewels. Now, Tarlin, when you were unconscious, you did have this vision as you fell into this sort of coma after reading this book, and you were able to see an old, gaunt wizard with gray hair, a long gray beard. He looked like a skeleton with skin wrapped around it, more than an actual human being. He holds a staff. It's long, kind of wooden and interestingly shaped, and it has, at the end of it, this gem being held in the claw of a dragon. After this vision, and upon looking at this scepter, you feel a sense of familiarity that you don't quite understand, as if you had held it before, used it before, spoken magic words aloud. And you feel yourself kind of moving pieces of this contraption, taking the gems and kind of studying them. And you say the magic words. There's not quite a poem, but some lines of rhythm and rhyme that go with the use of this device, and you speak them out loud. After doing so, you find yourself in Vogler, but something was wrong. This is what you had thought of. This is where you wanted to be. You were in Vogler, or perhaps what once was Vogler, because the buildings stood tall, yet some were newly built and others long removed. The Gnomeflinger, which had been lost to ruin, now stands tall and strong, rebuilt as if time itself had reset. But the streets were empty. There was no laughter, no voices, no sign of life. But then movement, and you see two figures, Draconians, sprinting towards you, desperation in their eyes, and behind them 20 skeletal soldiers marching behind them in relentless pursuit. And in that moment, you felt something watch you. A god, perhaps, but which one? There were so many. But you feel eyes, and you feel as if there are hands kind of guiding you. Had you been chosen when you saw those statues on the shore? Or was it in that moment when fate tightened its grip? Time had twisted, and the ripples of your choices stretched far beyond what you could even possibly see. And as the skeletal horde advanced and the past and the future blurred, the party stood at the heart of it all, as the fate of many heroes suddenly lay at your feet. And that brings us to tonight. So before we begin, if we could just kind of go over character sheets. You guys just hit level 6. I know we've posted some stuff on our Discord, but wouldn't mind if we kind of go around and just kind of talk about some of the stuff you have recently gotten, some of the stuff you can do, and just to kind of calibrate everything, so we're all on the same page, we're all aware, because moving forward there will be a lot of combat. So let's start with Calixto.
Okay, I took level 3 fighter, picked up a purple dragon knight banneret homebrew, and essentially what I've gained is 6 HP, and when I action surge, the party gets to make an attack or cast a cantrip or move without provoking attacks of opportunity, and when I do my short, my heal thing, my bonus action to heal, I can't quite recall what it is. My second wind, yes, we all heal when I do that. I also
Nice.
get to add my charisma modifier to my damage limited number of times.
Very nice. Okay, Tarlin, I know you just got more spells.
Yes, I did. I just took. I got 6 level wizard, so I got my subclass feature of undead thralls, which gives me 2 skellies or zombies per animate dead cast, and they get bonuses. They get I believe extra damage equal to my proficiency level or proficiency mod, and maximum hit points equal to my wizard level. That being said, and then I also took 2 spells at 6. I took remove curse and counter spell. Most of the things I have as far as spells go are a lot of necromancy spells. I did get several cleric spells like cure wounds, guidance, gentle repose, spare the dying, toll the dead, that kind of thing. Most of my feats have given me extra spells in my spell list. Like Initiative High Sorcery gave me 2 first levels and a cantrip. Magic Initiate gave me 2 cantrips and a free first level per cure wounds per day. Ritual Caster Cleric gave me 2 ritual spells from Cleric, Gentle Repose and Ceremony, and then Divinely Favored also gave me Cleric spells, which gave me access to Augury, which I have not yet used, Guidance, and Cure Wounds.
How many spells do you have? How many known spells do you have? Like 20.
Let's see. How many Shocking Grab? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 cantrips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10 first level spells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 second level spells, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 third level spells.
Wow.
2 of those third level spells were free.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then how many spell slots do you have for each level?
I have as many cantrips as I can shake a stick at. No, 4 first level, 3 second. Give me 1 second. It takes a long time to get to my 3 second level spells and 3 third level spells.
Wow, you need an encyclopedia for that character sheet. Very nice. Okay. Great build. And then Aethelflip. Dude, like we could do a podcast on Tarlin alone.
I know, right?
Do you like spells? Well, boy, we got something for you. This
Yeah.
feat, this feat, this feat. That's very cool. But yeah, Aethelfled, what do you have going on, and what does Faraday have going on as well?
I am not quite at Tarlin's level, but I also have a lot of spells. I don't think Faraday has changed really at all, but I have, let's see. I can see in the dark. I can pretty much make any tool. I'm proficient with any sort of weapon as long as it's not like heavy. Same thing with armor.
Ooh, nice.
I can make improvements to your weapons to give you extra damage. I have to work on it. I know 5 languages. Let's see. Spells. I know 6 spells, but I have 4. I have like 5 cantrips. I just took the death domain. So that gave me 3 more cantrips and then 2 spells from the domain. So I took False Life, Chill Touch, and then Toll the Dead, Word of Radiance, and Resistance. But as my other spells, I also know. Where are they? Cure Wounds, Tasha's Caustic Brew, Jump, Snare, and Catapult. Let's think. I have 4 saving throws that I'm proficient in. I'm proficient. Oh god, I don't know. I can make any sort of tool. I have Featherfall, Vortex, and Blur for 2nd level
Ooh,
spells.
shit. Blur's really good.
Yeah. I like
I can fix
Vortex
things.
is
I
fun
have
too.
Mm-hmm.
Spire, Salamia, Pullmaster, and Sentinel as my feats. Um,
I have
I have a
Identify
lot.
as
I
well
feel
as
like I'm a little bit more close range, but also have the ability to cast spells. Because at level 5 for Artificer, I can now attack twice. And I have Enlarge I got that from the one dude. So I can also get really big. And that gives me advantage on like strength checks, and it gives me an extra dice on my damage. Um, I don't know, yeah. Mending Mage Hands is also cantrips. I have Warding Bond and Branding Smite. Well, that's the extra attack. Yeah. I have I'm like, if we're all together, I'm kind of building her to be, again, like, if this is a battle, yes, I can hit people far away, but, like, a lot of her stuff happens, like, within 5 feet of her. Like, a lot of, like,
Yeah.
attack of opportunity can stab, can, like, help other people stab. People can't disengage without provoking me, or yeah, pretty much. If they get in 10 feet of me, I can stab them. If they try to run away, I can stab them. Like, not a lot of healing, mostly just damage and fixing things and making things and jumping the fuck out of there and getting big if I have to.
There is nothing wrong with that.
Yes, but if you let me work on your weapons, I can make them stronger and better. I think I did one to Calixto.
Yeah. Yeah, you made it
You
a
did.
lot better.
And I can't remember how long that takes, but... And I can make stuff. I can make a trap, that wheel trap thingy. I can make boxes. I can make a lock on a trap and a chest. So I can learn to make stuff for us too if we need shit, but... And Faraday is just Faraday. I haven't made any improvements to him yet, because we haven't had downtime. We've been stuck in a catacomb of death.
It's the best kind of catacomb.
What's that show called? The freaking... Oh god, the kids are into it. The Backrooms or something, where it's all weird and...
Oh yeah.
That's what it felt like to me.
Okay.
I'm strong! And smart, and I have good constitution.
And that's all you need in life, you know? Okay. So you have... Let me just move you guys to this map. Okay. Is everyone able to see this?
Yes.
I guess I didn't do a good job of describing this, but do you see two draconians, some skeletons behind them, and a city street?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to put you guys kind of over here. Now, you can tell that these draconians have not seen you. They have bigger fish to fry. Here's you, here's you, here's you, here's you. Okay. So it does occur to you that you could certainly try to engage. You could let this play out. You could try to confront either side, maybe help the draconians and knock out these skeletons. So that you do have some options. You could, of course, try to command the skeletons. You are all three tied to death in some way. Two of you on death. Tarlin, you're on the other side of that spectrum, more of life. But all three of you now have a connection to mortality. So if there's something in particular you'd like to do, you can. If you'd like to watch this play out, you can do that as well.
Does it from here look like there's a way to get up on the roof over here so we could like eavesdrop from up top?
You certainly could.
Yeah, I don't know that I would necessarily get involved with two potential enemies fighting each other.
Plus, we don't know when or where we are. I mean, we know where we are, but we don't know when we are.
Yes, you are certainly in Vogler. The rest is TBD. But if you would like to hide, you could certainly do that on the roof. You could find a location. One of these buildings would be perfectly fine. This is an opportunity to do anything you would like. What would you like to do?
I think Echofoot's gonna kind of like jab her thumb like at the rooftop and kind of raise her eyebrows like, Because I can always send Faraday in by himself to pull aggro while we hide up on the roof if we need to like do something.
Yeah, I'll give her a quick nod and get into position somewhere on the roof if we can find a way to climb up. I want to try to avoid being seen if at all possible.
Same.
Yeah, agreed.
Let's be sneaky.
Just to make climbing easier for myself, can I snag those gauntlets of ogre power just for now? Since we don't have to attune to those, I don't think.
You do, but we can say that.
Oh, okay.
We can say your time in that little cave. Whomever ends up with them certainly can. I also forgot to mention there are night vision goggles that you guys found as well. Do you guys want to focus on splitting up that loot now, so that everyone kind of has their own thing?
To be completely honest, the only thing I am somewhat interested in as Ethelfled is the bag of holding, because she's a half elf and her strength is decent, so I don't really need either of those. And the magic's fun, but like I don't need that. Like the stone might be cool since she does a bunch of like tinkering, but again, not necessary. But the gold, I just imagined we would split evenly between all of us.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
So, between you guys, I don't care who has what.
I mean, honestly, Tarlin would probably forego the golds just because of the spell book he got. And I mean, if I like the rod is probably some kind of magical rod, I would probably need to identify it at some point.
Yeah, I think it makes most sense for you to have it.
As far as the rod goes. That being said, like I said, I'm willing to forgo some of all of my gold just to like I can use my stuff to identify things we don't have identified.
Also, if you give me the Stone of Luck, I might be able to find a way to replicate it, and then everybody can have one.
Do you have
Also
identify?
true. I do have identify.
Okay. If you wanted to, we could retcon and say that you cast Identify on that elven sword. You had rolled an Arcana check, but we hadn't decided what that was. So that is part of your party loot as well. It's just at the time seems kind of mundane because you guys haven't done anything like that. We could always do that after this scene, or we could say that
Sure,
happened
yeah,
when you guys had time to kill trying to come up with that riddle.
Okay.
Also, before we sneak up on there, because I imagine if shit does go bad, maybe. Oh, hold on. We could just, again, have Faraday wait down here somewhere, just so that he can, fuck you think, lure them away.
Split the
But
party. I
then
like it.
I'm gonna, we'll just Faraday, but I'm gonna cast a spell and put Snare right here, just so that
Ooh, I like that.
I can have him
Okay.
jump over it, but they can get tangled in it.
Sure. Would you
Yeah,
like to ready that spell as opposed to
Yeah.
casting it outright, just in case?
Well, it takes like 10 minutes to set up.
Oh, okay, okay. So we'll say that you set this up here. Let me make a little thing.
But then after that, I would have him waiting in front of it, ready for us for like my command. So I'd ready his action to like go intervene, but I think we should just sneak around and go up.
Okay, we'll say this. So it would take 10 minutes. What is happening now has escalated, and this seems more like a spell you would cast on the roof. Because 10 minutes is a very... Think about how many rounds that is, so that's going to be a minute. But we could say that that's an idea you hold on to, or you can be casting it from the roof as things play out. That works for me.
Oh, well,
Because you said there's 10 minutes of prep, right?
yeah, but it's because I have to like write down glyphs and words and like set up rope and shit and hide it and stuff.
Oh,
So they can go up and sneak while I do that, and I can catch up with them.
Okay. We'll say that you started this process. If you don't finish the process, is this a ritual casting? So you wouldn't be using a spell slot, right?
Yeah, it's a first level spot. Let me
so
look
it
up.
only takes a minute if you're using a spell slot.
Oh.
That's way faster. Yeah, let's see what that does.
Yeah, I'll burn a spell
Um,
slot and do that in a minute.
And then I presume that y'all would be moving to this roof. Is that correct? It's the closest one.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Oh, it's gonna be
I
in-
agree.
Their
Okay.
field of view, though.
And then going back to the loot. So, Calixto, you had interest in the thieves' gloves, right?
Yeah, I was kind of interested in both of the gloves, but if Tarlin wants the Gauntlets of Ogre Power to counterbalance his strength stat, I completely
nerdiness?
understand.
Yes.
I kind
sounds
of do.
It sounds sick. Okay,
Thank you very
so
much, guys. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
and
no
then
problem.
and then Tosh, I guess you would be getting the stone. The night vision goggles, if you guys want to just hold on to those, that's fine. If you want to assign them to somebody, that's fine too.
Don't they also improve current night vision? So if we give them to Tosh,
Correct.
wouldn't Tosh also have like bonus
That is
night
true.
vision?
Yep, that is true. But as Tosh pointed out, Tosh is very much in the fray
That's
type.
true.
I also
Um,
have
true.
dark vision, so
Hunter and I were talking about it earlier, and he did bring up that you might be able to benefit from those if you have to see something and you're casting a spell.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I can wear this.
Yeah, so it's whatever you guys want to do with that, and of course you can take them off. I don't think those require attunement, and if they do, we'll say they don't. So you can just pass them around, if need be. And then we'll say that you cast Identify on that sword. Is that a level 2 spell? Correct me if I'm wrong. Level 1,
That's
right?
level 1, yeah.
Okay, we'll say you casted it as a cantrip in that case, since it's the level in the spell. So no spell slots used. And then what you're able to discern is after careful study and after writing the currents of magic, you're able to tell that this is a malleable weapon. So it can be a sword, it can be a short sword, it can be a bludgeoning weapon. So it kind of takes on the properties that the wielder prefers. So it can turn into a mace, it can turn into a spear. That would be as a bonus action, and it can't be anything greater than a great axe or a great sword, something like that. But it could be a two-handed weapon, a one-handed weapon. Could be ranged. So it's a malleable weapon.
I mean, if you got those gloves now, Tarlin, this might be a decent melee weapon for you. Unless Aethelflood wants it for when she's in the fray.
Yeah, honestly,
I want to
it
say
would be a good weapon for
here.
Aethelflaed if you don't already have a good one.
Well,
'Cause you
I took a feat with Polearm Master, so I'm probably gonna stick with Polearms.
Well, there you go.
okay? Well, I mean, you could doesn't you can make that a pole? I think a pole arm, right,
Mhm.
Matt?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you can make it any. And I mean,
Yeah,
not like a cannon, right? You know, like
yeah,
nothing
of
like
course.
that,
Yeah,
nothing wild, but basically whatever you could think of. And then Aethelflaed, I'll also say, as you're kind of studying it, you might be able to replicate the metal properties of it, and Tarlin, you might be able to replicate the spell aspect of it. It would
okay.
be a long-term project for both of you, but it's something that maybe you could apply to a different weapon. So you might be able to take this malleable property off of this weapon and apply it to a different weapon, or perhaps duplicate it in general. So
Wow, holy shit. Damn.
identify is a great spell.
Oh yes, it is.
Yeah,
Hunter.
that's pretty on flavor.
And then that rod.
Hate identify. Fucking hate identify.
I
What about that? Was that rod that we got? Is that also magic?
I'm so sorry. Remind me what rod?
I thought you had linked us a rod in
There-
this stuff.
So there was a
I
scepter.
might
That's
be
the
correct. Incorrect. Yes.
yeah.
That
There's
one,
a
I'm sorry.
scepter that is covered in jewels. If that's the one you're referring to, that is the thing that got you here.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my
Mhm.
bad. Never mind.
No, you're good. And I was like, "Fuck, I'm a bad DM." But no, that is the thing you held covered in jewels that whisked you from your cave to the city of Ogla. And then, okay, so you guys are going to this roof. Is that correct? This one over here?
Yeah.
Okay.
We will not be seen. I guess dead things don't really care when they see us on.
It occurs to you that they would probably have murderous intent. But yes, so these draconians are being chased currently. You want to see this unfold, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Any objections? Or are we good to go ahead and start and observe this moment?
No, yeah, let's watch what happens.
Okay. So you see 20 skeletons, roughly, running behind these two draconians, and they're fearful. And this is the first time you've seen a draconian look fearful. There might have been some close moments towards the end of your first encounter with draconians where maybe they were like, oh no, oh shit, we're about to die. But they look horrified right now. As they're running, you hear a thud from behind them. And you see something, I promise. You see a giant orc, and he has these spikes that kind of go jutting out of his big clinky metal armor. He holds a giant great axe, and his belt is adorned with a skull. He races behind the draconians and this army of skeletons here, and he starts swinging at these skeletal soldiers. He kind of leaps through the air, and with one final leap, he lands right in the middle of the horde. His axe is raised, and in one single powerful arc, he cleaves through the remaining skeletons with terrifying efficiency. I'll show you what he looks like. You see this guy.
Oh shit.
That's a beefcake.
He grunts and he kind of eyeballs these two draconians, and they're kind of bowing, sort of cowering a little bit.
It is the Queen's decree that we guard this post with our lives. I shall make the Queen aware of your cowardice.
And the first Draconian kind of trembles. He bounds even lower to the ground. His voice is shaky, and he hisses, "Apologies, General Grogtar." The second Draconian, clearly more desperate, he tries to justify their retreat. There's tight fear in his voice, and he says, "My lord, we were outnumbered. What good is our lives if we don't preserve it?" And General Grogtar's face hardens. His expression's unreadable. And he doesn't say a single word before raising his axe once more, and in a flash, the blade strikes down, cutting the second Draconian clear in half. He does so without any hesitation. There's a spray of dark blood that arcs into the air before the creature falls dead. Silence. The remaining Draconian stiffens. He's wide-eyed, he's trembling, unable to suppress his fear as Grogtar turns on him.
I trust soldiers who run into battle, not away from it. Pack your bags. You leave for Palanthus immediately.
But that is a death sentence.
You may run into your fate as quickly as you run from it. You will go to the city of death. You will serve Her Majesty. Go.
The Draconian, fear seizing him, he does not hesitate. He turns, he bolts, he runs into the distance, and Grogtar walks behind him.
Just as they're starting to leave, can I murmur something to the party?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to say to the party, if this man is a general, this may be one of the few times we're able to catch him alone. He is surely of the enemy's forces. What do you all think?
You think we can catch him? She's like eyeing him like, oh, I mean, I'm strong, but...
Maybe not under normal circumstances, but perhaps now, with one of them down, and with Tarlin's absurd strength.
I did get that trap earlier. If he doesn't see it, he might get stuck.
What do y'all think? Y'all want to try and jump him?
I think that's not a good idea.
Okay.
I'm not sure
definitely
it's
don't
good.
have to.
Yeah,
If
I
we
don't
try
think
to
it's a good
jump
idea
him-
to try and jump him.
Okay.
If we
Okay.
try to jump him, we should trap him in that snare if we can, because then he'll be restrained until he gets out, or for 8 hours.
And
Yeah,
if he's a good bit away from us right now, it would take a. If we're trying to be stealthy, he's just walking, he would probably get away from us.
I mean, I guess I could turn into a giant and grab him, but
That's a little conspicuous.
Just throw him in the trap.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
I'm just saying we can make it happen, but I don't know if it's necessarily a good idea. Maybe we could follow him.
You could do anything.
I'm amenable to following him.
If we are going to follow, I am going to stop and gather. These skeletons have been shattered and defeated. I'm going to not, because it takes a minute to cast a spell, and I don't want us to sit here. We don't have time to sit here for a minute. I think he would just take a round to gather a couple, a bunch of bones and throw them into his pack.
I would say, Tarlin, if you wanted to cast Undead or animate dead, yeah, you're welcome to do so.
Okay.
You
know what? Yeah, I would like to do that because I would like to get a couple of skelly dudes under my command.
So,
Oh my gosh.
would the rest of the party also be in attendance for this moment?
Yeah, I would
Oh.
definitely be in attendance.
Okay.
Yes. Also, can I roll insight to see if he's talking about the same queen as before? the Dragon Queen or whatever.
Sure.
that's a good thought.
Yeah,
I didn't think
very
about
true.
that.
He's
might be
talking about Taylor Swift.
Hmm? I don't know.
Yes, that's exactly who it is.
I only rolled a 2. Whoops.
You think he's talking about the chick from Untamed Siren? No. You're. I mean, it would be pretty logical to assume that he's talking about the Dark Queen Takesis, but you're not entirely certain. It could be anyone. At this point, you're so discombobulated, you're not sure what's real, what's not. You don't know what's going on. The last time you were in this city, there were citizens, there were people. Gnome Flinger was knocked down. So, I mean, at this point, you're not entirely certain who he's talking about. Although, I mean, you would still think it's likely that it's Takesis, but you don't know that for sure.
Yeah, the guy had a skull on his belt.
Yeah, skull on his belt. He is not talking about Untamed Siren, I'll tell you that. So he has. We'll say he's like, if you guys wanted to pursue, you certainly could. I'm going to go ahead and take him off the map just for the sake of taking. He currently can't see you guys as of right now in this moment as you are kind of huddled by these bones. All three of you now connected to death. You kind of hear like a whisper, like hissing. And all three of you kind of look down and you kind of see life in the eyes, even though you know there's nothing there. So Tarlin, you are able to animate dead. You're able to use a spell slot for that. But you also hear them calling to you. And all three of you feel like if you were to call upon the name of Chemosh while he's not present, not in front of you, there's no present connection, you're not having dialogue, all three of you think that you might be able to invoke his power to perhaps resurrect some of these pieces of bone. You're not sure if there would be a price attached to it, as was the case with Aethelflid when she lost her arm. But if any of you would like to perhaps call upon this god's name and try to raise more undead, you could certainly do that.
Yeah, nice
nope.
one,
As-
DM. I'm gonna pass.
As part of my personal animate dead, I'm actually creating small Solinari symbols. I have them, and I'm kind of like affixing them to the forehead of the skulls. So they have this big starburst with like a circle, I guess, around it on their foreheads. Of the
Thurlin, as you do so, you feel as if any anguish, fear, animosity that these two undead figures may have once held and harbored in their own death, you feel it cleansed. You're doing that to the two that you've resurrected. Are you doing that to the other skeletons as well, the other skulls, the other remains?
I will actually gentle repose the rest of them.
Okay. Aethelflid, you didn't want to try to resurrect one of these, did you?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Tarlin, take a point of inspiration. I would like for you to walk me through what that looks like as you kind of go through that moment.
With these two new Solinari marked skeletons with me, Tarlin, he pulls out his large holy symbol, and he's looking around. He's like, I know not where all of you hail from, but may you find peace and rest at last. And he closes his eyes for a moment as he's kind of passing the holy symbol over each of the skulls in turn.
Okay. And all three of you, in the presence of this moment, you feel malice that had once been harbored, animosity, anguish, fear, all this negativity had been kind of soaked into the bones that lay before you. And as Tarlin completes this sort of ritual of sorts, you feel like the air's lighter and that there was more peace than there was a moment ago.
I scowl at the thought of Chamash.
Well, you didn't lose an arm, did you?
No, I didn't. He tried, though. But I've seen where that path leads, and it doesn't look good. I do think it wouldn't be a bad idea to tail that general just to see where they're posted up, get an idea of where they are in the city. I don't know about you guys.
While you guys are kind of discussing, Tarlin is actually pulling clothing out of his bag. He's got a couple extra shirts, and he sets basically one of his white shirts around one of the skeletons, and one of his gray shirts around the other one. And he stands for a moment and looks at them and says quietly, Tomas, Tobias, and then looks at the two of you.
I could just send Faraday if it's safer. Like, Faraday could always just follow the general, and if the general spots him, he could just run back or run away. Because again, the worst that happens to him is he gets broken and I fix him again.
That's true. Yeah. That might be the safer option, honestly.
No,
Is there any chance he would just like walk into a camp?
Well, yeah. Who? Faraday or the
Faraday.
Or,
Would he
Yeah.
see like guards in advance, or would he just like kind of walk right up to him?
I don't think it would compute. I think it's more like he follows my instructions. So if I didn't
I see.
buffer like, hey,
Say,
if you
let's
see
see.
camp, run, like he probably wouldn't think about it.
Right, I got you. Okay.
So I feel like I could be like, follow him. If he spots you, run away,
Yeah, I think that's probably safe. That lets us figure out where we can post up.
It has a 4 intelligence, so.
Yeah, it's not very smart. It's a machine.
So I feel when I do math.
Yeah.
So
What if I create AI?
So let me make sure I'm right. You want to have Faraday tail the orc, while you guys presumably do something else. Is that correct?
Yeah, or follow from further away, or cut him off, or I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. So if you want to have Faraday travel with this orc, you can totally do that. Faraday would be doing like a running loop of recording. So should something happen, you would at least have some sort of visual record, to some degree. We saw how that went with Jesse, right? But you could certainly do that and presumably find out where General Grogtar is going. What would the three of you want to be doing in the meantime?
I feel like I'm still pretty disoriented.
I think, yeah, finding our bearings, maybe. Like, are there people? What's going on?
Yeah, agreed. Like we get a feel for the situation.
Would there be a specific location you'd be looking for, or somewhere you'd want to be going? You know the city reasonably well, but there is...
Gnome Flinger's the highest point, right?
It's the city of Voda right
That,
there.
or we would go back to somewhere we knew before, like the mayor's place, or like Beckland's place or something.
Mm-hmm. There's also, it's not featured here, but there is a library. You guys would be, right about here. There is the village circle, which is right next to the mayor's house. There's a stable, couple of bars. There is the Rivergate Thornwall Keep, which is where the Gnome Flinger is. You would have to travel north if you wanted to do so. Of course, Backland's house is also on limits.
My question is,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
sorry, just to the party. If we did go to like the gnome flinger, like yeah, we could see everything, but it's not like any of us has like eagle vision or anything that would allow us to actually see in detail what's going on.
Very large city.
Yeah, true. I was just kind of thinking maybe we could see like where maybe like some smoke from fire might be coming from or anything like that. Where an encampment might be. Which direction did the general head in?
North. So towards the village square.
Okay. We could go north just to like scope out what's going on at the mayor's house on our way to like somewhere else in the city.
Or good old fashioned D&D, yeah, we could find a bar and talk to the tender and see what's happening.
Yeah, we could definitely keep an eye out. Like,
Yeah,
at
let's
any
say, I don't
bars
know if-
on the way.
The fishbowl is in the village circle. So if you wanted to go to, say, the mayor's home, there's the fishbowl, there's the mayor's home, there's the village circle, all kind of in one location. The brass crab would be to your left. It would be the more accessible location from where you're currently at, but you could go north as well.
Where was Beckland's house?
Beckland's house is going to be north of the mayor's home. So it's kind of around here. It's not on the map itself, but it'd be close to Rivergate, just north of the mayor's.
I mean, I do need to kill her, so I'm never opposed to that.
Yeah, we could just stop at a few different points as we go north and then like maybe try cutting across town. Just to kind of scope out, you know, what's going on in this area here. Could stop by the bar on the way, see what's up at the mayor's house, see what's going on in the village circle, drop by Beckland's house, go to a high point, question mark?
Murder Beckland.
Murder Beckland, definitely.
Keep her alive forever. Also an option.
What do y'all think of that? Y'all want to try just going north? Or is there somewhere else y'all want to... or another approach y'all want to take?
I'm down.
Go north.
I mean, yeah, I feel like, I mean, we've got to try and find someone here. Like although I feel like if there's hordes of skeletons running around the town, we may be less likely to find anyone living here.
You mentioned a library somewhere?
Yes. Yeah, there's a library just past the village circle and just beside the mayor's house. It would be possible to kind of sneak around the village circle and get there. And as you did so, you would find the mayor's home as the next location. But we'll say it's right about here, give or take.
Okay. That might give us some insight into maybe what's happened
Yeah.
over time. And then that also kind of helps us sneak around whatever might be going down in this area as we
That's very true.
move north. Are there any bars on this side of town?
The two bars are the Brass Crab,
Perfect.
which is on the way, and then the Fishbowl. So if you made like a big C,
So
you would hit
here's
the
our-
Brass Crab, you would hit the library, the mayor's home, and the Fishbowl. You would also be able to scope out the square before you reached any of those locations, except for the Brass Crab. Well, actually, yeah.
This is kind of
Yeah,
our
you'd be able to
path
see
right
all of them.
here.
Yeah.
What do y'all think of that? So we could sneak around, check out the bar on the way, sneak back up while we're scoping out the village circle, look at the library, see if there's any hints or clues, drop by the mayor's place on the way, and go to
Well, real
Beckland's after
quick-
that.
Are there any boats here?
So there are a couple of very small rowboats, but there are no large boats, right? It used to be a bustling harbor town. You do not see the ships that you used to.
Mm-hmm.
Do we see any ships at all?
Okay, yeah. No
Just
ships,
little
just
rowboats.
Oh, but I mean, like, people out on the water at the moment.
No. Yeah, nobody's out on the water. The little rowboats, the smaller boats would be close to like the ramps and the dock, the boardwalk area. All of them would be like tied off. Like there's nothing as far as like a seaworthy vessel that stands out, which is unusual because you would see many fishing boats dock at Vogler. Some people that dock that you're like they're definitely smuggling something, but you kind of turn a blind eye and you're like whatever, leave them to their vices. But yeah, nothing of any real import or anything substantial as far as boats go,
Did you eat some tacos?
which is odd.
Make yourself some tacos.
But we do see people. Like,
You see
smuggling shit. Nobody.
no people. No, that's what you used to see. Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, that's what you used to see in Vogler. You used to see fishing ships and smugglers and things like that. You don't see any of that activity. It's very unsettling. It's very discombobulating. It's like a completely different place.
Okay.
Vogler 2.0.
But the buildings themselves aren't like derelict or anything. They're all fine.
No, you do see some grass, some plants that are overgrown, some that are dead that, just seem kind of derelict, unattended, but only foliage. You don't think it's been not war torn? No. That, of course, would be one of the first things you would think of.
Yeah.
Is it occupied? Is it war torn? Was there resistance? Was there fighting? It doesn't look like there was. If anything, it looks sturdier than it used to, but you do see it's less attended to.
Could we make a guess on the passage of time, judging by how much the growth has either overgrown or like if there was a
Damn,
tree we saw
smart.
before and like is it 20 feet taller now or something?
Roll intelligence plus proficiency. We'll say it's like a tool check, like a carpenter's tool sort of thing, smither's tool, kind of.
Like a history check?
I mean,
I
if
thought
you
were
wanted,
gonna say nature
well,
too.
well, I was going to say nature would also work
Yeah.
as you kind of look at the plants and try to determine how long it's been since they were really tended to. So any of you could roll those. History, I don't think would necessarily apply, but you could do nature, investigation, anything you think is applicable if you want to try to gauge how much time has perhaps passed.
I could do investigation or like some sort of skill or tool check if you want.
Yeah, tool check. I mean, it's really whatever flavor you're looking for and what role you feel good with. If you wanted to like kind of gauge the buildings, things like that, that would be more of a carpentry tool kind of thing. We'll say intelligence proficiency roll.
I rolled
Investigation's good.
investigation.
Investigation's great. It's a very limited space that you're in, but you can certainly look in the immediate area. Tarlin, Calixto, did you want to roll anything to kind of see if you can discern anything locally?
I'm okay. I feel like that was kind of her idea. It was super smart, so I don't know that I would have thought of it. Because I
Okay.
didn't. I literally didn't.
And like I said, Tarlin was focused on boats and naming his skeletons.
Okay. Yeah, we'll say, Tarlin, that's going to occupy your moment. Aethelflip, you're kind of looking around, and you don't think as you're looking at the buildings, you're looking at the plants, you feel like it's been probably months since anything was really tended to. But it is interesting to you that nothing has been truly damaged. Based off of this, you presume that there has been no true fighting anywhere nearby, or if there were, it had been a very long time ago. But you do feel like it's been several months since anyone really tended to the plants, since anyone swept, since anyone dusted, as you're kind of looking around the area.
Would it be safe to assume that the plan for everyone leaving was a success? Like when everyone was vacating, when we got transported?
You do not know.
She's gonna just kind of muse aloud then to the group and be like, well, we don't see anyone here. Doesn't look like there's been a war, but it has to have been at least months for all this growth, and looks like no one's been here.
Yes, I've got a bad feeling about this. If that general's here, then they must have occupied this town somewhere.
Yeah, nothing's broken, but I mean, the slinger's better.
Yes, perhaps we can get a look from there. Or are you referring to, like, it actually being improved?
Yes, that.
I see, I see. Yes, it seems like they were preparing for something. But there's no signs of damage here. The smells of surrender. Or something like poison.
We did see a large horde of undead, so we should be careful as we move through the city.
Speaking of which, you've got 2 skeletons standing with you now that you've
Yes.
raised.
Yeah, and they're both wearing shirts. One has a white shirt, one has a gray shirt.
What would you say,
And
Tarlin?
they have they have little holy symbols on their foreheads.
Tarlin, surely you didn't make a deal with that trickster creature, did you?
Oh, no, not at all. This is something I learned with... I'm gonna say, he's gonna say, I learned, unfortunately, from reading that strange book. Because it's because it's a class feature, Tarlin doesn't know exactly how he came about this knowledge, because he just
Right.
it kind of you get it at 6. So he's kind of assuming it came from his harrowing experience in the book with his book.
Well, it's likely no coincidence then that book fell into your hands. Be careful. I don't trust these things.
The book, I will hold on to the book for now. It should not be read until much work has been done on it.
You don't think it'd be better to cast the book away?
Or pierce it.
I fear
It seems dangerous.
destroying it seems a good option, but we don't know what energies may be released on trying to destroy it. That being said, I also fear it falling into someone else's hands, someone with ill intent.
You know, perhaps when we're not here, you and I devise a sort of a safe box, if you will. I could build it, you could enchant it, and maybe we could store it there.
I agree. I believe we should do something and try to lock this thing away. But for now, he kind of sighs a bit and looks at the two at the 2 skeletons flanking him. They're just kind of like standing there, just chilling, not like they don't. He's like, I will have to get used to these 2. He's like, Tobias, come. And as they start to move through the city, they just kind of shuffle along behind him.
What are those?
Out of curiosity, do either of them respond to the Bright Blade in any kind of way?
They do not.
Okay. Just hold on to this thing.
They seem very peaceful for, like, a lot. I guess the undead spirit I had the skeletal spirit I had pulled forth last time was like very like chattery and like unsettling. These skeletons are very much like chill and nowhere near as like unsettling.
I eye them suspiciously, but carry on.
I don't think Ethelfled cares because she just imagines them as bone versions of Faraday.
That's basically kind of
That's so neutral. That's awesome.
right.
That makes perfect sense. Okay then. So is our plan then to sneak along this way, stop by here, and then move up to the library, kind of eyeballing this stuff as we go?
A good plan.
Then we'll make our way up to Beckland's if nothing else comes up.
I make my tokens. Yeah.
Sure.
Sounds like a yes to me.
I need to make a token.
Eddie, you good with that plan?
Oh yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
You're still Blackwater
It's okay.
in this? Like, are they
It's
going
okay.
to give them their position?
I would say they would have to roll, right? But I mean, it's not like they would just immediately give you guys away.
Okay.
Like they are physical manifestations. They do make sound. They do, they can be seen, right? But they're not gonna just like run out there unless Tarlin wills it.
And they're not like
Yeah.
walking xylophones or anything.
Yeah, but good question.
They might fit in around here, given what
That's
we've
true.
seen.
Yeah, we should
Yeah.
still guard shit for them.
Except that they're wearing t-shirts.
You get a moon. You get a moon. You get a moon.
Right. I will
Can I stick my hand in the bag of holding and look for something like softish? Like a cape or whatever to adorn one of them or something.
You want a cape?
Or I don't know, like, I don't know what's in it. I'm just gonna like feel for silk or wool or something, because they're
You
Just a
You-
plain cloak.
don't find anything of that nature, but there's a whole city ahead of you. So it's possible you might be able to find something along the way. But as you reach through the bag, you don't see anything, but you have a new goal. Costumes for the skeletons. You have an aw shucks moment, and you're like, oh man, nothing in there.
So yeah,
But it's-
these skeletons are pretty much Donald Ducking right now with no pants.
Is there anything you want to discuss, anything you want to express, or any other actions you want to take before you head over to the brass crab? To reference, the brass crab is where you fought the draconians that would not die, the puppets of Shamash.
Yeah, I'm good.
No, let's go.
Okay. You are currently standing in front of the brass crab. There's nothing evidently in the area. What would you like to do?
Can we hear anything from within? Like-
Roll a perception check. All of you could do this if you would like.
Like
Yes.
voices, clatter, drunken, whatever.
Hey,
Nice.
Pretty good.
crit.
Calixto for good measure. Okay. So Aethelflute. We'll start with Calixto. Calixto, you press your ear to maybe the window, the door. You're all being very careful, of course. Try not to make any sound, tiptoeing your way through. Calixto, you're able to make out noises. Aethelflute, you are able to make out several noises that kind of sound like guttural hissing. And then Tarlin, you are aware that there are probably about 6 or 7 draconians that are in this area. They seem jovial, but all of you have different levels of information right now. Tarlin, you do believe that there are several Draconians in the bar right now.
Yeah, I very quietly let the others know, and he'd be like, let's maybe move away from here.
You say so.
So yeah, I'll let everybody know that there's around. I hear 6 voices. They sound to be like Draconians.
Okay.
Nobody
let's-
has like
let's get the
disguise
fuck out of
self or like anything to help us blend in.
Okay, so you don't want to engage the Draconians in the brass crab?
That's probably a bad idea.
here. Yeah, I mean,
It's
there's
safer.
No reason to blow our cover at the moment. Dude,
That's right.
how many are in there that we can tell?
Tarlin, with his crit, was able to tell that there are about 6 or 7 Draconians, and they're all of jovial, kind of humming it up in the brass crab. They're not like yelling. They're just kind of conversing. Tarlin, do you speak Draconian?
I speak Draconic, yeah.
Draconic. Does anyone else speak Draconic?
No.
No.
Okay, Tarlin. You're able to hear various conversations. And in these conversations, you're able to make out that they are discussing how terrifying the water has become, and how they can't wait to get out of this haunted wasteland. You don't make out a lot of other important details, just gossip and things like that. They all speak very highly of Grogtor, but are very terrified of him. You are able to also discern with that 26 perception, the fact you speak Draconic, that they have kind of held on to the city of Vogler. But they are afraid of the water, very much so.
Okay.
You are able to quietly relay this to your party if you would like.
Yes.
You can also hold on to this if you would like to as well.
Let
okay.
them know what I know, and basically, if they seem to not. They don't know we're here. They don't think anything is wrong. We should move on.
Sounds good.
Yes, that seems for the best.
Okay. So you get to about here. Put you guys right there. Ah, thanks. All right. So you see a sight that you've seen many times previously. 1 second. You see the town square. There's the tree in the center. There's still some like little banners and stuff that are hanging up. Some form of decoration. Kind of remind you of Vogler as he knew it, but it's quiet. It's haunting. It's weird that there's nothing going on, but you do see the tree. I would say you don't even need a perception check, because as you're kind of like hitting the corner towards the library, you're able to kind of peek in. It's not that far. You know, you kind of sort of sneak in that area a little bit, and you're able to see that there are several Draconians that have huddled in this area. So there's several Draconians that are huddled up. They're just kind of chilling, eating lunch, having a beer. You don't have to engage them. You certainly could if you'd like. And that's the information you have at the moment as you head towards the library.
Oh, man.
Is the library past them, or like can we go around them to get to the library, or?
So, sorry, we're not on the map of Vogler at the moment. I could go back if you guys would like. But the Brass Crab, like, as you're kind of making your way north from the Brass Crab, there's like definitely a street that leads to this area. And you're able to kind of look in it. It's sort of like an alley. You're able to kind of look through it, and you're able to determine that these are here right now. You could just go back and move north towards the library. You could engage them. You could eavesdrop. You could do anything you'd like here. But this is just information you have now, that they're good handful of draconians that are by this tree in the center.
I think I would like to try and listen in again. I can.
There's
But
draconians all
I'm
over
a
the
long
place.
far. I'm a good distance away. I'd have to try and get
Well,
closer.
yes. What I would say is you are able to see them from the distance
Yeah.
that you're currently at in this little alley sort of area.
Yeah.
If you wanted to get close enough to really listen to them, you would have to roll some sort of sneaky, stealthy check.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you'd have to roll stealth to do that if you would like. If you fail, they will be alerted to your presence. But if you'd like to, you could certainly go up there and try to eavesdrop.
I will not do that if I can't hear anything from here. I'm like,
I mean, you could always try. You just may not be able to.
I am not very sneaky. I
Would
don't
anyone
I
else
really-
like to try?
I meant the eavesdropping.
I'm a little sneaky. I could give it a shot. If
But you can't understand Draconian.
that's true. That's true.
If you can I pick up something and like fuck, hold on. I was trying to wonder if I could make like a little recording device out of something that he could take sneakily with him. Like, I don't know, a gold coin and just fucking write a little rune on it to record. So that way when Calixto, if he's sneaky, can get close, he can record what they're saying and then bring it back, and then Tarlin will be able to listen and translate.
And
Like with
what are
some
the
tools.
means by which you plan to do this?
I was gonna take some tinkerer's tools and like I need to find an item that I can. I think it's like an artificer infusion. It's just like one of I can like
The
make
wizard intrusive thought
like
to
I
cast
can make a
fireball
device
and
that like
everything.
plays a music, so I just want to like reverse that.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Because I have the ability to infuse an item to make it like play a message. So
Okay.
again, similar with like Faraday, just reverse it where it'll record like maybe
Am I muted right now?
a little snippet
No.
of what you're saying.
What is the? You're not Eddie, but that's okay. That's
Sorry.
okay. That's okay. So that's an artificer infusion. Do you what are your artificer infusions currently?
Well, that is not one of them, but let me look it up just because I don't want to.
I'll say mechanically, with the information I have as a DM, I don't know how you could do that right now, but I would say if you want to swap out one of your artificer infusions, we can certainly do that.
Let me just look it up. Yes, sir.
I think those are kind of like long rest, short rest sort of things where you could swap about if memory serves, but I don't mind. As long as it's like not in combat and it makes sense, right?
Yeah, I'm just gonna make sure. Okay, so this is part of the magical tinkering and not actually the infusion.
Okay.
That's what I was looking at, but I don't. It's because one of them is the object continuously emits your choice of an odor non-verbal sound, but I get non-verbal, it wouldn't work anyway. So
You
I
can
was
make
gonna.
you can make it smell real funny over there if you'd like.
Yeah, and I can make it sound like a wave or a bird or something, but I couldn't. It's not. Words don't count, so I wanted to reverse engineer that, but it won't.
The
Wouldn't work.
Draconians are just kind of standing around and they're like, "Man, I hate that Grogtar," and they just hear "caw."
Hey, we're talking about how much they hate the water. We just make a really loud wave sound.
Ooh, there you
Oh,
go.
God.
Splish splash. Welcome to the Splash Zone, bitches.
And yeah, be with my thieves' tools or artisan tools.
I will say if you wanted to use that to make some sort of distraction or something you think would invoke a reaction from them, you could definitely do that if you'd like. You do have
I'm like, yeah, hold off. I didn't remember right. Because I do
Okay.
have infusions, but I don't think I have the right ones on me right now.
Okay. So we know that there's some risk if you guys sneak up there. If there's some other idea you guys have, by all means. Otherwise, you just take note of the fact that there are a handful of Draconians kind of hanging out, eating a sandwich, drinking a beer. They roll an insight check, everyone.
I did actually measure for fireball. I was just
Nice.
the thought popped in my head.
I placed them with that in mind.
Uh,
Okay. Aethelflid, Tarlin, you feel that they're on patrol, and they're maybe just taking a break. Like, this feels like a work day for them. It doesn't feel like they're in any kind of war, conflict, or combat, but they are certainly walking around this city, and it feels like another day in the office for them. It's like another shift.
Hmm.
Like, looks like a lunch break to you guys. Calixto, you're not entirely convinced of anything at this point. It's all very confusing and discombobulating.
Okay. Probably best we avoid them, no?
I agree. I think we can avoid them as well for now.
And you certainly can. Does that mean that the next stop is the library?
Yes, I believe so. Unless we can get
Okay.
a view of the city center. Or wait, that's what we looked at earlier with the big tree, right? So I guess we're good.
Yeah. So that's the village center right there. You guys are roughly here in this little alley area. The library is right here. So that would be a great next place to go to, and then the mayor's home is right next door. If the library is the next stop, that's great. Does everyone agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. It's a very good place for us to take a very quick break. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Heard that.
So you press your ears to the door of the library and you don't hear anything. And you kind of poke in. You're able to see that it looks inviting. You see some books that are kind of stacked up on the ground. It's a little disheveled. But the four of you, minus Faraday, the three of you are kind of standing in this little area. There's a desk in the middle. Yeah, some bookshelves. Looks kind of worn down. More so than the rest of the city, more dilapidated. Kind of looks picked through. And as you step through the heavy wooden doors of Vogler's library, the scent of old parchment, smoldering wood fills your nostrils. The once proud hall of knowledge now bears the marks of a desperate last stand, it looks like. It's the only place that looks touched by resistance. The windows have been hastily boarded up. There are gaps between the planks, allowing only slivers of light to filter in. They're only on some windows, not all of them. The furniture, once neatly arranged for scholars and scribes, has been kind of repurposed into makeshift barricades. You kind of see those located right here. And then scattered across the stone floor, you see piles of books in disarray. Some torn from their bindings, others casually stacked up, as if maybe someone had been searching through them in a frenzy.
Recognizing what looks to be the scene of combat, am I able to discern anything about what occurred here? Like, for instance, if there's a barricade here, am I able to tell that, like, you know, what seemed to happen pushed in this way, or anything in particular
That's
about
detective work.
or how
Roll
long ago this happened?
Roll investigation. Okay. So you see at the bottom of this pile of just kind of like ripped apart shelves and kind of broken apart and kind of stacked up, you see what looks to be the fang of a draconian, and you also see a femur. It does not look to be of draconian nature as far as you can tell.
Can I pick up the draconian fang and I'll pass it over to Tarlin and Aethelflood and just say, like, they held out here. Someone.
Arlen actually goes up to the bone and can I cast Speak with Dead?
Sure can.
Okay. Yeah, holding the bone, I'm going to cast Speak with Dead and attempt to call out to the spirit of whoever this belonged to.
Holy shit, I did not know you could do that, dude. I thought you had to have a whole head for that. That's awesome.
The bone kind of... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, it does still have to have a mouth. Okay, I'm sorry. That's my bad. You are absolutely correct.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought they had updated the rules.
No.
I was, like, really excited for a second. I was like, oh, shit,
No,
cool.
I was thinking of I was thinking of a different use of it. Older use, I think you could actually just do that with like a bone and it would work. But like it would call the spirit. But
Feel it in my bones.
anyway, no, it's totally fine. No worries. I can't do that. There is no corpse.
Can we find a skull?
You could look for one.
There's a femur.
I can look for one.
Yeah, I'll help you
I would
fucking
say-
look for a skull.
I will
I have a
look around for
draconian
that,
head
yeah.
on my inventory, but that
Looking
was from
for
before.
more.
Roll investigation, both of you.
Yes,
Or one of you can
sir.
roll with advantage, whichever one you guys prefer.
I'll help him.
Can I investigate this desk?
You can't. So Aethelflid, while they're kind of looking around for bones, you're looking for something of written word, I presume? Or are you just looking to investigate it in general?
Or like if there were any like messages sent or commands, war commands, or like any
Okay.
sort of.
There's a single candle that flickers near the desk, or actually on top of the desk. It's illuminating several scrolls, scribbled notes. You see a map of Kalamon. It's kind of spread out with symbols of war, like X's along the city's border, notes about the troop movements. But you do see a scroll hastily scrawled that stands out amongst the rest as you're kind of looking over there. And if you would like to read that, you certainly could. Calixto and Tarlin, you are able to find a skull.
Awesome, yeah. Pass it over to Tarlin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, I will read.
Okay. So Tarlin, you're kind of casting this spell, trying to summon a spirit, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, Aethelflid, you can hear a little murmuring between Calixto and Tarlin. We'll say you guys are kind of like over here-ish. Aethelflid, you're able to read this scroll. Tarlin, Calixto, as Aethelflid is reading this, you see Tarlin kind of do like some motions with the staff, say some words. The skull glows with a sort of dark energy. And then that dark energy sort of dissipates, replaced by a green, very neutral sort of energy. Tarlin, you're able to ask your questions.
Okay. Tarlin thinks for a moment. What happened here?
Great battle.
what year? When did you die? What year?
This year, 4 months ago.
Wanna try?
4 months ago. Okay, so that wasn't too long. Harlan kind of looks at the other two, or kind of looks at I'm sorry, looks at Callisto. Since Aethelflaed is looking at the desk, can you think of another question pertinent to what happened? I mean, we can only get so much.
What became of the city of Kalamat?
As Tarlin and Calixto are conversing with the spirit and ask this question, Aethelflaed, you're starting to read this scroll here, and it says, "I was there when Calamon fell. The city that had long defied the Dark Queen was brought low, but it wasn't the Dark Queen's forces that finished the job. No." And then, Tarlin Calixto, simultaneously you hear the skull speak, "The dead."
The Queen's forces, did they triumph over the city?
At first, yes. But then they all fell too. Including me.
Aethelflaed, it's worth mentioning there is a lot more of this note, but that's as far as you've gotten in concurrency.
So, out of character, I think we've got one more, Tarlin. And Calixto will just sort of cut you a look as the skull says this.
Tarlin is getting increasingly worried because this means they've been gone for a while.
One more question.
Yeah.
Make it good.
He thinks for a moment.
And the skull wouldn't know.
How long
permanent,
ago
right?
was? Oh wait. Who was the out of character? Who was the funeral for?
That was Ispen Greenshield.
All right. So I asked the skull. How long ago was Ispen Greenshield's funeral?
I will say the skull cannot answer because the skull does not know Ispen Greenshield. So we will say that because of this inability to answer, you get one more question. But this skull was not present for that, and because it can answer the question, it doesn't count as a question.
Gotcha.
We'll say that in this case.
But yeah, the skull just the spirit in the skull just stares at me. Okay, well, you did not know him, I guess. Did the citizens of Vogler escape?
Some escape death, but not occupation,
Damn.
not slavery, not fear.
The bitch gave up.
And with that, the energy that had been swelling this green sort of aura dissipates. Aethelflaed, we're going to go back to your scroll. Now, would Tarlin and Calixto after this moment want to go back to Aethelflaed, maybe try to be present for
Yeah.
this scroll reading?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
we'll
so,
go see what
yes.
she's up to. That was totally worth it, Tarlin. Holy shit.
Okay. So you kind of make your way back. Aethelflid, you're reading this long, sprawled note, hastily written.
I was there when Calamon fell. The city that had long defied the Dark Queen was brought low. But it wasn't the Dark Queen's forces that finished the job. No, it was Chemosh, the god of death himself. His undead army swept through Calamon, first fighting alongside our forces, and then turning on us with a brutality that can only be described as betrayal. It started with those 5 Draconians. They were once our allies. At least that's what we were told. Chemosh's 5 undead Draconians that should have never existed. They led the charge, their undead claws and fangs tearing through the defenders like a force of nature. They were our greatest weapon, we thought. But we were fools. I wasn't a hero, I wasn't a general. I stayed in the shadows. It's the only way I survived, but some days I wish I hadn't. I ran, I hid, and I lived. But those who fought, they did not survive. I watched as the city's defenders fell one by one, and if it were any other day, I would relish in watching their deaths. The first was the half-elven. I saw him leading his comrades into battle, his sword gleaming in the light of a dying sun. The Red Draconian, an abomination of fire and rage, struck him down with claws that burned like the sun. Oh, but it wasn't quick, no. Tanis fought back, his sword piercing the creature's chest. A final desperate attempt to survive. But he would not die. He laughed as he burned. As Tanis half-elven, once my enemy, fell to the ground, blood spilling across the cobblestones. His body lay there unmourned while the Draconian, he turned his back, uncaring, unstoppable. At first, I was elated, and then I saw more. Caramon Majir, the twin who had been inseparable. He screamed for his brother, Racelin, as the Black Draconian tore him apart. The beast's claws raked through Caramon's body, his massive form falling in a heap as his lifeblood poured out. I could hear him calling out for Racelin, but no one was left to answer him. And then, the Golden General, Lorana. I had heard of her. An elf, they said, born of nobility. A warrior like no other. She fought fiercely, her blade flashing like a streak of lightning. But she sought vengeance, revenge for Tanis. She charged the Red Draconian without thinking. Her sword plunged deep into his chest as well, yet the creature would not die. It roared in fury, its wounds healing in moments, while Lorana collapsed beneath it. Her body lay in the street. We were winning. Hope was being dimmed. But the Red Draconian did not stop there. It merely moved on, stepping over her lifeless form as if she were nothing. Victory for the Dark Queen was in sight. Then there was that Kinder. Always the fool, always so eager to prove his worth. He charged at the Red Draconian with his tiny blade. I could scarcely believe it. I'll tell you this, the flames engulfed him instantly. I saw him scream, I heard him scream, but it was too late. His body became nothing but ash, his spirit extinguished in the blink of an eye. The heroes fell one by one. But the battle did not stop there. Just when we thought we had won, Calamon was ours. That's when the Blue Draconian went to Kitiar Uthmatar. He bowed before her, and without warning, Her body was blasted. Streaks of lightning charred her flesh. She lay quivering on the ground. And that's when we knew things were changing. The Blue General, they called her. She was a Tempest incarnate. Commander of the Blue Dragon Army. Unmatched. Her ruthlessness, her skill, her presence, an unshakable force on the battlefield. Her reputation struck fear in the hearts of all who opposed her, and her sharp intellect and fierce leadership had led to countless victories. To watch her fight was to see the fury of the storm itself, but on this day the storm was brought low. The Blue Draconian, one of Chemosh's twisted creations. After her body smoked and burned, the smell of her flesh in the air, with unnatural speed, the Draconian lunged, its claws raking through her side. The force of the strike sent her sprawling, her grip faltering on her weapon and our grip faltering on the war. I saw the mighty general fall, her lifeless body shuddering at the Draconian's electric energy. As it coursed through her, Kitiara, the once feared Blue General, was no more. The creature that had struck her down stood over her, a symbol of the twisted betrayal that would see even the strongest of us torn asunder. The battlefield. Once her domain became her resting place of her legacy, now claimed by the very horrors that she had fought beside. I saw it with my own eyes, the once proud defenders of Calamon, the heroes of the lands torn to pieces by these monsters, their bodies desecrated, and then, as the battlefield became a mass grave, the undead turned on us. The Draconians, led by Chemosh's cursed touch, tore through our ranks. The soldiers of the Dark Queen fought valiantly, but they were no match for the power of undeath. We were swept away, our own comrades turning on us as they raised from the dead to serve Chemosh's will. It was chaos, a nightmare. I remember hiding in the shadows, clinging to the darkness as the battle raged around me. The cries of the dying were deafening. I was a coward, but I lived. The undead rose from every corner, pulling down anyone foolish enough to stand and fight. I saw men, women, Draconians, all of them ripped apart, their bodies dragged into the dark maw of Chemosh's curse. I saw faces, my comrades' faces, twisted in agony as they were torn apart, only to rise again, eyes glazed over in death. A massacre, both sides, completely wiped out. I'm here. I'm alive in Calamon. Calamon is nothing but a memory now. A city destroyed, a dream of defiance, crushed by the power of death. And that is the end.
Well, fuck. I guess you guys probably watch her pale and her eyes wide and her hands shake a little bit and her insides probably feel like they're trying to fucking fall out. 'Cause that's a lot of info. And she doesn't say anything and she's just gonna hand the scroll to you guys so that you both can read because she has no words.
Okay. We should probably tell you what this skull just told us. So I will kind of start relaying it as I read and then just kind of trail off as I realize that this is way more detailed than what the skull told us. And then after I read it, I'll pass it over to Tarlin.
Arlen will start to read through it, and then he just as he's getting to the parts where it's talking about the dead and everything. He's just, his face tightens, and he's like, He doesn't want to say his names. He's like this.
Do you
The
think this
deceiver.
person's alive?
He betrayed
Yes.
everyone.
He planned his masterstroke and executed it. It seems perfectly.
We missed it.
We did.
How have
It's
we
a
been
little
gone
look
for
at
so
them, though.
long?
Do you think that man's still alive? In the city here, like he said. Do you think he's still hiding?
And kind of looks around and he kind of indicates the skull that they had found. He's like, this one this one said he has been at least 4 months dead.
What did it say about how long ago Visbin's funeral was?
He didn't know.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, he didn't know who that Ispin was, so he didn't know that information. He couldn't.
And there might be something to be gleaned from that.
I think Ethelflid will take the scroll anyway back and just tuck it in her side bag, just if anything, as a history marker or a reminder of what happened.
So, Chamash
Well,
is behind
oh.
everything.
But what does it say that he has power over us?
He works to ensnare us. Perhaps he's the greatest foe we have beyond all the rest of this.
Ethelflid's gonna like raise her hand, her right hand, and kind of look down at it and just stare at the skeleton hand for a second, like, oh no.
The dragons here appear to be putting on some sort of resistance, gauging from the conflict they had earlier that we witnessed.
But then who's this queen? If Chemosh is responsible for all this, then
The queen is Takesis, the enemy.
True. Maybe the queen is.
isn't
empowered.
Chemosh when Ignate's dead?
That's what
Didn't
he had
Igneous
wanted
fight
before,
for it?
yeah.
Didn't Igneous
Yeah.
fight for Takesis though? So would he have killed the queen, the dragon?
I don't think he can kill another god.
Or she's a dragon? Oh god.
Well, no, Takesis is a god.
Okay.
Ignia is a dragon.
Right, but Chamash
yeah,
wanted Ignia dead, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Tasha's right about that.
Okay. I
That's
got
a good
confused.
point,
Sorry.
though, because if Ignia worked for Takesis, then Chamash could just be kind of playing both sides by working for her and working against her.
Mhm.
Because he gave her dragons, or he I mean, he turned on them, so I don't know. He's obviously working for himself, but I don't know what has become of Takesis' goal, you know?
Well, it sounds like he turned
Other
on
forces are
her
dead.
openly, because if what the scroll says is to be believed, then Takesis' forces invaded Kalaman, and then Chamash turned on Takesis' forces, and they all died and became part of his army.
Yeah, and all the heroes are dead.
Which means they're warring against each other based on what we saw when we entered town. And the war is still ongoing.
So the Draconians are still fighting for
Yes.
Takesis, we think?
It seems like the dark gods are fighting over the scraps of what's left.
This is very bad news. Well, fuck. Should we keep exploring the library? Or
I guess I'm like reeling from all of this fucking crazy information.
it's too
Right?
much.
Yeah, I guess let's keep exploring. Holy shit.
Like we have the information, but we can't do anything with it because we still don't know like what's what. You know?
It does seem like our side has already lost the war now that we're here, which is really that's strange. How are we in? How are we already so far from where we came?
Because everything we wanted to achieve doesn't matter anymore. But both Calixto and I have some sort of connection to Chemosh, which I don't know if that automatically makes us on his side or not, but that may not bode well for us if the other side sees my skeleton hand and assumes or like knows that we work for him or have had interaction with him.
Could always like wrap it up or build a metal arm around it or something.
I was totally going to build a metal arm around it. Yes.
Let's go.
Right?
You can certainly do that
It's going to look
as a
clean.
long-term project, short-term project. We'll say short-term.
Oh, man. Well, okay, so we know what happened, but we still don't know what's going on.
No, yeah.
What do you guys say get character
Kind of feel
Well,
after you've
yeah.
decompressed as like players? How do you feel as your actual people?
yeah,
Go ahead.
Hold on, quick pause too. So it didn't mention like the mayor dying or like Becklin dying. It was just like all these other heroes, right?
The fall of Kalaman from the eyes of a soldier, and presumably a soldier of the Dark Queen, given his happiness at seeing these random heroes, names of which you've never heard, fall. Those names, by the way, were Tanis Halfevan, Lorana, the Golden General, Kitiara Uthmatar, Karamon Majir, and Tasselhoff Burfoot.
Wait, oh god. Okay, look, god. Out of character, god damn it. Okay.
I think we need to find a stronghold. Everyone we knew is dead. We'd have to understand what's going on. If anyone we knew was left alive, they'd be held captive, right? If they weren't killed.
Mm-hmm.
Or we find, yeah, I don't know. Oh.
So standing here, wearing this Solamnic armor, Calixto's mind is reeling because I know that my forces lost this battle, right? But I take comfort in knowing that they still exist somewhere. And I firm up my resolve, although I am still quite shocked.
Also, at this point, could I like summon Faraday or something, or like
Yeah, sure. We'll say
it's been the elapsed time or
we'll say
something?
Faraday was meant to follow to tail the orc for just a moment and then find you. And knowing the route ahead of time, Faraday presumes that you're probably in the library. Yeah, why not?
Or I can like run outside and go try to find him or
It's,
something.
yeah, it's a game. Yeah, Faraday is able to find you. Feel free to put him on the map.
Like GPS homing beacon type of thing. Like
Sure.
ding ding ding. Come home. Or I'll go find him, but
Oh, what a god of death.
Faraday.
You know what we should do? We should, this is out of character, we should find a way to force Chemosh to incarnate. Because everything we know about him, he's like a god of death who despises life, right? And we can't exactly kill a god of death.
I know he likes murder.
How do you kill that which has no life?
We
You take its place.
incarnate it and then petrify it. Just like poor Jeshi. Jeshi.
I never knew. And you know what? None of us did. I don't even think Jared did.
Anyways, yeah, so taking all of this in, I guess we should keep exploring. Oh sweet, Faraday's back.
Show us. What did you find?
So Faraday shows you that with a little hologram that Grotorg, the orc. I'll reference my material. Grogtar. Grogtar, the orc, has gone up to the city gates. Along the way, checking in with several patrols of Draconians, making sure that everything is good, and encouraging them to stand strong in the name of the Dark Queen. He does occasionally reference to Kisus. You have about 10 minutes of him just kind of walking around the city, making sure things are copacetic, and his final location that you can tell is the city gates.
Ooh, given that we have been in Vogler for some time now, are we able to get a bead on what his patrol route is?
You can certainly tell which path he took going to his destination.
Oh, I see. Okay. It wasn't like a repeated route. It was like a one-way trip.
Yeah, I mean, Faraday gets generously 10 minutes of recording. So, I mean, it's, a blip in a moment, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But you saw where he went.
Damn. She's gonna pat Faraday on the shoulder. Thank you, as always. Well, boys, what the fuck do we do?
I feel as though it's likely the mayor's house is abandoned or inhabited by someone else.
Yeah.
And
It leads me
I
to believe
agree.
that they have a camp outside the city or something, if you went to the gates.
While Becklin may no longer be in the city, we may be able to get a hint as to where she may have gone if we search her home.
Perhaps. And I still think that if there are survivors, they are probably captive or slaves in
Me too.
the Imperial Palace or whatever version of their stronghold they have. Prisoner of war,
Okay. Well, are we done here? Was there anything else y'all wanted here?
No, I think we got what we could.
Yeah, we came to find out, what happened recently, and we most certainly did.
Oh boy. Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Okay, so you make your plans to perhaps go to the mayor's house. It is on the way. It's part of the route that you planned. And it does occur to you, given Faraday's little hologram of information, that you could go to the mayor's place next and then go north towards where Grogtar is. You start to leave the library, but you stop and you feel the hair on the back of your neck stand up as you hear a voice that you do not know. Shirak. The words cut through the air with unnerving precision, as if it is more than just sound. And from the darkness, a figure emerges, moving with a deliberate, almost spectral grace. His black robes, frayed and weathered with age, hang loosely around his gaunt frame, shifting in a way that seems to defy the rules of motion. In his hand, he wields a staff of dark, gnarled wood, crowned with a crystal orb held in place by a dragon's claw. And you recognize this, Tarlin. The claw, fierce and almost lifelike, curves protectively around the orb, its sharp talons clasped as though guarding something precious within. The orb glows with a faint, pulsing light, its radiance flickering like the last embers of a dying fire, casting dancing shadows that twist and shift unnaturally. His skin gleams with a strange golden hue, smooth and unworldly, in stark contrast to the pure whiteness of his hair. The strands float about him like wisps of smoke, drifting weightlessly in the still air. His eyes, sharp, calculating, and glowing with an unsettling intelligence, scan the room and fall upon the party with the intense focus of a scholar poring over a complex puzzle.
Arlen looks up at him. I know you.
Do you now?
Istandantilus.
Smile is a razor's edge, sharp with amusement and contempt. His eyes, gleaming with a strange inner fire, lock onto the party as he speaks. His voice is thick with derision. Curious, he murmurs, his eyes never leaving you, studying you like you're an experiment. You do not belong. Tell me, on what wings did you arrive here? How do you know me? A white mage, surrounded by the carrions of Chemosh, knows me. How?
Arlen reaches into his pack and, with just holding on to the rope, pulls the spell book out and holds it up in front of him.
How did you come about this, meddling with things you do not understand? Dark magic. The things that you have only read about in tales. It would be an insult to my entire craft to even call you a student, a pretender perhaps, a child in robes far too heavy for his shoulders. Tell me, where did you come about this?
Arlen, just very plainly, it's the mines above Vogler. We found them amongst, well, quite an extensive collection of items as well, but there was quite a lot to puzzle out.
A white-robed fool clutching the book of Vistandantilus. How quaint. Did you hope that mere parchment would grant you wisdom, that by tracing your fingers over his words you would inherit his power? Vistandantilus did not simply read magic, he became it. He carved into his very soul, bled for it, sacrificed for it, and you, with your bright little white robes and trembling hands, think to wield what he left behind. Tell me, do the whispers call to you yet? Do the pages turn on their own? Have you begun to wonder, are these my thoughts or his?
Ectofled does not like that he's being insulting to Tarlin because it's like, who the fuck wanted to end up there? We just happened to be there. I'm like, this guy.
Yeah, I'm not
You
fond of
say-
him either.
Do you say anything? Do you
Excuse me,
interact?
sir. Who
Me?
the
Yes.
fuck
Oh,
are you?
or no, do you? Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, what was that, Aethelflaed?
She's like, excuse me, but who the fuck are you? We just stumbled down there. No one went to find this stupid bloody magic. Why are you insulting my friend?
He turns to you and Calixto, and you see a little bit of a kind of a glimmer in his eye.
Ah, another noble fool clinging to a written code in the dust of a dead age. How quaint.
I'm
You
not
swore an
noble. You
oath to your
stupid.
armor, and now you are honored only by the grave, Salamic Knight.
And then he turns to you, Aethelflaed, and he says,
A creator of life turned into a vessel of death. Undeath clings to both of you like a second skin. Ha! Fools, bargaining with gods of bones.
I don't like you. You sound like a narcissist. I'm not even noble.
Um,
You sound like a narcissist. So
She like his words sink in, but she's not gonna give in to him.
yeah, can I roll an insight check?
Sure. What are you trying to glean?
I'm trying to glean if this person is trying to goad us.
Okay.
Or if he's just a dick.
Like, don't get me wrong, he could probably destroy us, and he probably knows way more than we do, but just
Tarlin-
the fact that he's insulting Tarlin is annoying.
well, Tarlin, after having heard him talk, he kind of frowns a little bit and points at the parchment that they had just read and said, "You seem to have lost your brother, have you not?"
Raisin's lips curl into a faint, twisted smirk. This is surprising to all three of you, as the name slips from your lips. His eyes narrow, dark, and calculating.
Heremon.
He repeats the name as though tasting it, savoring the sharpness of a memory.
A hero, wasn't he? Charging headlong into battle as always. A fool, but a noble one, perhaps. Too noble.
And he steps closer, his voice kind of dropping to a near whisper, his gaze piercing.
He died as he lived, never once thinking of the consequences, always rushing to save the day. A worthless death, given that he was utterly unprepared for the horrors of this world. He threw himself into the fray like a child, with no comprehension of what awaited him, dying for a cause that would never truly be won. But at the end of the day, that is what he was, a child.
Is he the coward that ran?
No. This is you recognize the name as one of the heroes defending Calamon, who had been felled by one of the immortal draconians from Chamash's army.
Okay.
Why have you
After-
appeared
to-
before us, mage?
Well, Tarlin, having heard all of that and the venom that he spits at him, he just frowns very deeply and says, "I am truly sorry for your loss."
Do you know the difference between the two of us, me and Caramon? He died in a desperate, futile charge. I, on the other hand, have learned the cost of foolishness long ago. You would do well, white mage, to learn from his mistakes.
Tarlin nods, and I intend to. He thinks for a moment and says, "What if I were to tell you we come from before this?" before all of this, when the Dragon Queen first began making threats to Vogler.
Tell me, what is better? To see the world fall slowly, to never see the world fall at all, or to see light turn to darkness in but a flash.
Ethelflaed's gonna look at Calixto and be like, I thought he was the smart one.
Yeah, I mean, to never see the world fall at all seems the most ideal.
Then you mean to die before it all falls apart? For that is the only way to find peace these days, to have died early. But those who live now, they know true fear. Tell me,
I
half-elf, and he looks at you, Aethelflaed, how would you feel to know that... I would say extinction is an exaggeration, but the elves are mostly no more, felled by the Dark Queen in her moments of glory.
I guess that's a good question, because I don't know how strongly tied she is to. I mean, she's only half, so she didn't actually grow up around them, so I guess there might be some sense of loss, but. What do you mean? It's not like. I don't know. It's not like I knew them. I mean, hold on. Will you repeat his question?
Yeah, so he's relayed to you that the elves have mostly been wiped out, and he asks how you feel about this.
Well, I don't care for loss much to begin with, but I believe it's inevitable for all species that are living. I myself do not have a close connection with them other than through blood.
Inevitability. You are correct. As long as the elves stood in Paladine's graces, the Dark Queen would never see them stand. Yes, inevitability. Maybe you're onto something.
But they're not all dead, just most of them, huh?
When we say
mostly
most,
dead. Sorry.
when we say mostly, I would say that there are still pockets of foolish resistance, but they too will crumble, just as the world of Kryn has.
So then why are you here if there's no point in us trying or doing anything?
Indeed, why have you appeared before us, mage?
Because I think you are curious. You are out of place. And I want to see that which I do not understand firsthand. I want to experience it so that I may understand more. I do not like secrets. So tell me, how did you get here?
Out of character, do we still have the rod with us? Or
You
the
should,
scepter?
yeah.
You stowed it away. I don't
Yeah.
know if you've
I would have
tried
started away. Yes.
I don't know if you've tried to look at it since you've arrived.
I have not
I don't
tried
think
to
so.
pull it
You're
out.
talking about the jeweled scepter?
Yeah.
Correct.
I would.
That shit was
I
bad
think at this point,
news.
that's
Made-
what I.
Made someone go crazy.
The scepter didn't do it. The book made someone go crazy.
Oh, it's the book. Okay.
The book made me go crazy. The scepter brought us to the future. So Tarlin is gonna bring out the scepter and show it to Raceland and just be like, "This has brought us from when we were to now."
You intend to do so. As
Yeah.
you, would this be stowed in a pouch? Or underneath your robes?
Probably I would have put it in my pack.
You reach for it, and as you do, you pick up pieces of metal and gems. It is fallen apart in your bag.
Oh no.
And as you withdraw it, you see a twinkle in Raceland's eye, and he says, "Ah, magnificent. Truly I am in the presence of a master of the arcane. Tell me, did you study long and hard to achieve such breathtaking incompetence, or does it simply come naturally?"
Hey, you, stop that. He's the only reason we made it out there alive.
Are you
Someone's finished
alive?
speaking?
Are you truly alive?
I don't
From
know.
what I
Children
can
die
tell,
on
you
him.
Arlen does kind of smile and just. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, I knowing how long you've been around, I have not been as incompetent. I have not been as incompetent, alive and incompetent as for as long as you have been for a time. We all learn. We are all apprentices at one point.
Oh, you will learn. You will learn the price for power. All of you will. Maybe your flesh, maybe your souls.
This is
I
the
still don't know your purpose here, mage.
I've
Why
come
have
to
you
understand
to
you.
us?
I want to know what allegiance you hold. I sense resistance. Perhaps it is the instinct of the soul fighting back against Shemash's curse. You have sold yourselves to the god of undeath. A bold move. I wonder, did he tell you what he will collect?
Aethelflaed looks at her hand. No, he did not say, but I think I'm beginning to understand.
I have seen gods make bargains before. Their terms are never kind, their rewards never what was promised. You think yourself clever. Think you can twist his will to your advantage. You will learn, as all mortals do, that gods are patient, and they always get what they are owed.
He was
But
very desperate in the moment.
I will ask you this. How do you feel about a world of scales and bone? Do you wish to embrace it? Perhaps fight for the god of undeath, Timash himself? Or maybe you will side with the Dark Queen, or perhaps foolish enough to side yourselves up with the mortals who cling to their life like a rat clings to cheese.
Where might we find such mortals?
He kind of regards you for a moment, kind of studies you to see just how serious you truly are.
I am pissed with this fucking dude. I've been like holding my tongue, but he's been talking a lot of shit, and I'm trying to like get what I can out of this guy at this point.
The city of Maelgoth, once proud, now just another jewel in the Dark Queen's crown. Her armies took it, crushed it, and now the people within are but tools. Bent backs, bloodied hands, rebuilding for their masters. There are whispers of rebellion, of course. There always are. If you wish to be saviors, break their chains, if you can. But know this. Freeing slaves is easy. Keeping them alive, that is the true challenge. And perhaps you could take what is left of Vogler. You could make it thrive. But tell me, How well will you do against the tides of Takesis and Chemosh? They cannot be kept out forever.
And what would you do in this situation, a wise one?
Me?
Run away, study,
Hmm.
conjure something.
I would never be put in your position, so I cannot truly say.
But are you
But-
not? You're part of this world too.
Oh. I have my stake in this game. Trust me of that. For while the Dark Queen stands tall, her back is against the wall, and Chemosh. If creating unlife is all it takes to hold a domain in the pantheon of the gods, I would have had my own place amongst them long ago. I will say this. I have my own ambitions and my own goals. And perhaps you could help me with those. You see, I am just outside of Palanthus and the Tower of High Sorcery, the master of past and present. Within Palanthus there is a book, held within Astonis's legendary library. For me, I could go. But you see, the queen fears me, as does Chemosh, and the city is plagued with death. It would not be easy for me to retrieve this book. But if you could bring it to me, perhaps I could help you.
Perhaps. Why would Shamash fear one such as yourself?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe because I am powerful, more so than any mage to have ever lived. You, White Robe, you believe this to be true. You feel it in your bone.
Out of
Sorry, I'm trying not to get. I'm trying not to giggle out of character because you. I swear. I swear I didn't hear you say bones. I heard you say feel it in your bone, and I'm like, I put that femur down earlier, man. Like, come on.
I
But,
do
you-
like the idea of an ally against Shamash. Shamash seems like the new big bad.
Yeah, but the queen is also backed into a corner and desperate, so she may take on allies if it means it gives her a better chance as well.
You want to go to Takesis for
I'm
an
just saying
alliance?
it's an option.
It is
It's
an
an
option.
option.
I am not fully opposed to that.
I was
But
gonna say I haven't made
this guy
any deals yet with anybody.
this
Good
guy
Lord.
is telling us it's a bad idea to make deals with gods. And Takesis
You know, your
It's
boy been
pretty
saying that
evil.
this whole time. Your boy been saying that this whole time, but no.
Yeah, the god. It was a pretty tasty bargain. So
not gonna
this
lie.
guy's saying we go to this place that they're afraid of him, so it would not be easy for him to get it. We get this book and we bring it back. And then he said maybe he can help us.
Maybe.
Said maybe.
It's a maybe.
It's not even a yes.
This guy has been kind of a snot.
I want it in contract.
He didn't mind that his brother died.
He's like the
killed
most
many
famous
people.
person in the world. So yeah, like.
So what do you think,
He thinks
Eddie,
we're stupid and we're
with,
tools.
with your knowledge of all this? You think we
So
take his word for it? Is this guy on the level? Can I
Tarlin
roll
would
insight
also
for that?
know. Basically, Tarlin would know that Raceland is purely self-interested at heart. So he is going to be looking out for himself no matter what.
I will say this. Tarlin has never heard of Raistlin specifically, but having read the spellbook of Fist and Dantalus, and with there being a connection between the two,
Yeah.
your lines are blurred between Fist and Dantalus and Raistlin, and you're more equating him with how you feel about Fist and Dantalus from this weird presence in your vision while you're unconscious. It's the same vision, the same connection that allowed you to use this device in the first place, which is now
Okay.
broken.
Yeah.
If we do get this book for him, we have to either lock it away or hide it somewhere before he gets it to make sure that he honors his side.
Leverage.
I don't think that's a good idea. Just because he's powerful enough that he could geas us and make us go get the book for him back if he really, really wanted to.
Well, Ethelflaed might be willing to push that, just because she doesn't like him and he insulted you too many times.
So shall we accept his offer?
Yeah, I say we accept his offer.
Okay.
Because while he has godlike power and power level, he is not a god yet.
Okay.
I don't think. At least in this timeline, I don't think he's a god.
Okay.
I think we should get it. I'm just saying we shouldn't give it to him until we know that he's gonna do what he says he does.
So we accept.
Yes.
Which you guys have done many times already. So you've agreed to do this wizard's bidding in the city of Palanthas. I presume in character you kind of talk. Are we good now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know if you're able to see my ping. Is everyone able to see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Loading in still.
Okay, no sweat.
But feel free to continue.
No, it's okay. We can wait. This is relevant. So you are currently here in the city of Vogler, right? Or is everyone able to see that ping?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Palanthas is here. This is Malgoth. If you're able to kind of zoom in and see that.
Okay.
All right. So Raistlid has commissioned you to go to the city of Palanthas. And he says, you must understand. The hinterlands are filled with, well, people like you. And then there's the High Clare's Tower, a place that houses many secrets. But you may fall just like the fools who last defended it. It is unkind to the living. And then Palanthas, well, it's overran by the undead. You will see that in Nightland, Dargard Keep, Halamon. These are also places that are dangerous. Calamon has fallen, and it is filled with corpses. Dargard Keep has the remnants of orcs and ogres. The Nightlands, dragons. But how will you get to me? You see, there may be other ways besides foot.
With a boat?
You see, in Heth, an experiment gnomish brilliance is what you would find there, or perhaps folly. The distinction is often meaningless. Whatever they built there, whatever mad contraptions they dreamed up, it failed, as do all of their works, and now it rots. But perhaps within the wreckage you will find something useful.
a defense, a weapon, a means to fortify what little you have. Or perhaps you will find only dust and death. I suspect the latter. But hope is a persistent thing. And frankly, you are too few. You will need more. But do not waste your time looking in Kalamon. It is as lost as Palanthus, overrun by Chemosh's wretched pets. No. If you seek the living, they skulk in the hinterlands, hiding in their burrows like rats, gnawing on the scraps of a dying world. Will they join you? They would be fools to trust you. But maybe they are. Know this. Those who survive in such places do so by instinct. And by instinct, it often means their desire to run.
I mean, could we not just take a boat down the river to Mailgoth or go up north over and go into that sound, enter through the north? Like, we would go over the Northland Wastes and just
You will
sail into
You may
here.
try if you dare, but know this. The waters are cursed,
Ooh.
filled with the blood of the undead, and with it, well, how do you think your skeletons that you watched chasing the things you feared made it to Vogler in the first place? The water is damned, but if you are brave enough, maybe you can make a way.
I don't know that we should
The
take our
fastest way
chances
would be
with that.
taking a river to Mailgoth.
Fighting off hordes of undead.
Yeah, that sounds bad.
You could, of course, walk to Palanthus through the High Clerist's Tower, a monument to Solamnic arrogance, where once they stood gleaming in their steel, believing themselves invincible, and now the dead whisper within its broken halls, trapped between this world and the next. There are secrets buried there, secrets on how to combat undeath. If you have the stomach to wade through the remnants of their failures, and if you can survive what stirs within.
What do you guys think? Do you want to go into the hinterlands and find people, or take a ferry down, or?
I do kind of like the idea of going to the hinterlands, maybe kind of establishing ourselves as badasses before moving on Mailgoth. And then there's always the High Clerist Tower if we want to try passing through there to Palanthus.
And Heth is on the way. It does occur to you guys that you could try to take the city of Vogler for yourselves by fighting the Draconians that patrol the streets. And if you were to do so, you could perhaps house refugees. Otherwise, you could perhaps march on Palanthus and the High Clerist Tower along the way. Or maybe you find something in Heth that will allow you to get to Palanthus easier. But he kind of lays this all out for you guys. And then he looks at you, Tarlin, and you see his mouth curl into a smile. You imitate a mage. But you are not a member of our conclave, am I correct?
I have joined the White Circle.
Oh, have you? Have you taken your trial?
Out of character, I did, didn't I? I thought we did. Didn't we do that?
You did a test, but Parsalian said that you still had to do your trial. So you did like a little
okay.
initiation. But you are officially a mage of the conclave and not officially a white robe.
Okay. So, I must still complete my trial. I am
see.
but an initiate.
How expected? Tell me, does it weigh on you? The empty, gnawing truth. You walk among mages, pretending, hoping that none will notice the lack of price paid. You wield magic, but it does not truly belong to you. It is borrowed, untested, fragile, like a child's wooden sword, painted silver to resemble steel. His eyes narrow. There is a way, a rare opportunity, a mercy even. I will allow you to take your trial. But if you fall, then we will work out a deal. But the price you must pay be tremendous. Few survive the true trial of high sorcery. But if you make it to the city, if you can grab the book, I will guide you.
Anthropoid looks at Carlin just because she's curious now to his response.
Harlan's kind of, he's very serene about the whole thing. He says, "No, the thought does not bother me in the slightest. My role entirely is to bring comfort.
Tell
What
me,
form that
who will bring comfort to you if you do not bring it to yourself? Only power brings true comfort.
does power bring you peace?"
Look around you. Yes, power brings me great reprieve. I know that there's nothing to fear, for even the gods have their rules and folly. And I will make the most of this situation. Mark my words. I have paid the price for power. You must do so too.
That is not what I asked. I asked if power brought you peace, not reprieve, not respite. Peace.
I do not know how long it's been since I've had to test my power. That is peace, White Robe.
Harlan just kind of smiles, but just, as you say.
Make haste, for time is against you. You may find a small smattering of people. You may look for the means to arrive. You might even find something that will help you against Chemosh's undead along the way. But remember, there are many ways to move across the board. Shortcuts, gambits, sacrifices. But you are nothing but colorless pawns scattered across a game played by hands greater than yours. You face a Black Queen, ruthless, cunning, merciless. She sees the board in ways you cannot. She is the unseen hand that moves the pieces, tipping the balance long before the game is won. And then there is the White King, majestic, towering, an ideal long since shattered. He stands because he must, not because he is strong. A relic of an age that has already died. And you are neither white nor black. No allegiance, no station, no claim to power. Colorless, insignificant, and yet, pawns too may reach the other side, if they survive. The question is, what will you become? And with that, he kind of melds into the shadows, and the light that was cast from his staff kind of fades.
Mages. They make me uneasy.
Harlan just kind of looks over and just shrugs a bit. That is fair. That one is also prickly.
Indeed.
I suppose I would be too if I lost all that I cared for on this path. He points at the letter, or at the tail on the table. Those were his companions. Of course, he would be bitter, angry. He's lost all.
You don't like him.
This book. Do you know anything about it, Tarlin?
Out of character, I honestly don't know a lot about it, so
Roll
not,
a history or religion check.
Yeah.
See if you know anything about this.
Yeah.
Would you roll?
Give me 1 second.
Oh, I see. I thought you were reacting to your roll. 14. You have heard of the Great Library of Palanthas. It is said to house the entire history of Karen.
Okay. Yeah. I spent much of my youth browsing the library in Palanthas, but this particular tome I've not heard of.
You have. If you
No, I have not.
What?
I haven't heard of the tome, but
No. I'm just surprised to hear that you spent your childhood in the library of Palanthas. Would you know how to get in then?
well, yes, I was trained as an initiate in the tower.
That's quite fortunate. What do you three think of the hinterlands? Should we try and rally the people?
I will say I'm okay with that backstory, but the Mage's Tower in Palanthas was off limits, so you would have trained in the Tower of Wayrith.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my bad.
It's okay. But, I'm open to it.
we
Canonically
can
speaking...
Yeah, we can retcon that. My bad.
But I will say, if you want some history with the city of Palanthas and the library itself, by all means. Just canonically.
Yeah.
That tower has been weird for a while.
Yeah. It is difficult to get in there.
Okay, so Raceland basically spells out a handful of quests for you guys. Just out of character. I will post his words on these quests in our Discord. But basically, there's gathering more people in the hinterlands. There is Heth, which is a gnomish ruin. There is the enslaved city of Malgoth. And then there is the ruins of the High Claris Tower, which will lead to the city of Palanthas. He has also indicated that if you retrieve a book in Palanthas, which is Crawling with Undead, then he will potentially help you guys. You are currently kind of trapped here because the device that got you here in the first place is now in pieces. So you're kind of stuck with the situation for the at least short term. He didn't, but you read a scroll that indicated that Takesis and Shamash are at war at the moment. You haven't heard any recounts of any of the other gods or anything else. You do not know where the city citizens have gone, but you can guess that they would probably, maybe be in Malgoth or at the hinterlands. Perhaps even Nightland. You definitely saw an orc that's kind of running the show. He doesn't take bullshit. And there were a lot of Draconians that you've encountered so far. So basically, you're in an occupied city of Vogler, surrounded by Draconians and the armies of the Dark Queen. You are close to a couple of ruins, a city under siege an enslaved city. And then the hinterlands, you could conceivably investigate and see if maybe you could find some more people there as well. So you kind of have in this new chapter and this new iteration of Vogler Kryn, read the backstory about how a dragon high lord, Kitiara Uth Matar, had been murdered by the undead, and how the heroes of the War of the Lance were also felled in Kalamon. You don't know exactly when, but Kalamon is now fallen. So that's the situation you guys are in. That will be it for tonight, unless you guys want to RP something or kind of decide what the next step is. If you guys want to do that, you're welcome to. Otherwise, we can go ahead and call this.
I'm good to call it.
Yeah, the only thing I want to add is that even if we were to take Vogler, I feel like we wouldn't be able to hold it and still go check out
Other things.
The other stuff. Like, even if we did pick up people in the hinterlands and let them reside in Vogler, we'd basically be leaving them to their own devices while we went and did our other shit.
Unless you put somebody in charge that could maybe wrangle them, unless you ruled them with an iron fist.
Yeah,
I
was
mean,
thinking maybe we get the Horde and bring the Horde with us.
You guys are welcome to try.
Raise an army.
Yeah, raise an army, march on.
But then we have to feed them.
Well, maybe they hunt, right? It's
Organize.
Maybe we take Malgoth because it's a little more central. Maybe we take Malgoth because it's a little more central.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe we go west to the hinterlands first, maybe grab ourselves an army, and then march on to Melgoth.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah, sounds good, but also tricky because if we could incite a riot or something from inside Melgroth, we're essentially giving them a false promise of, yeah, let's take this thing, but what if the people don't want them, or what if there is no city? We don't know what we're getting into either.
That's true. It may be a smoother operation if we're a small elite unit.
Because, if we have somewhere to bring them, it's more convincing, unless they want to fight, but, why would they fight for a city that they don't know, where people are already slaves, when they're already hiding and they're safe?
I will say, if you wanted to try to make some sort of alliance with the dragon armies in town, you could certainly try to do that. If you wanted to overrun them and make this a safe haven, you could do that. If you wanted to get refugees and bring them back, you could do that. If you wanted to abandon the city in any capacity, you could also do that as well. So you guys are very much in sandbox territory. It's kind of whatever you guys are feeling. There are places around and there are things happening, but it's kind of whatever you guys decide.
I like the idea of making it a safe haven. I just don't know if I believe that it'll stay a safe haven.
Well, that would be. I would say if you guys roll well and you have good ideas, then it's certainly doable. But
Okay.
you have to do those two things.
Okay.
You have to have good ideas. You have to be smart about it, right? But
Yeah.
I'm thinking a dragon army shows up at any minute and just eliminates everything. But if that's actually viable, then
Well, I
Then
think
I do
the dragon
think-
army. I feel like the dragon army is spread really thin because they're fighting the dead.
okay. Well, I mean, in that case, I am not opposed to securing Vogler first while we're here, and maybe next session could be us trying to take Vogler. Unless y'all want to
that-
march straight.
That actually
down
sounds fun.
Melgoth.
Actually, that does sound like fun too. Taking Vogler sounds like a good time.
Yeah, taking Vogler does sound like a good time. It might blow our anonymity, but
Yeah,
it might not be a
Absolutely.
bad thing.
that's okay.
and I'll say
Well,
this: everything in Vogler has a macro, so
It's already built. There we
by
go.
all fucking means, by all means. But I will say, it really is whatever you guys want to do. If that is the direction you guys want to take democratically, then yes, Vogler can be taken under your control if you survive conceivably next session. So we
What do you
can
think about
we can
that, Tosh?
we can plan for extensive stealth, trappiness, shenanigans, extensive combat, perhaps next session if that's the case.
I'm not opposed. I'm not sure that the good outweighs all the other things that we can do.
You
'Cause,
could
yeah, we
always
could,
bring a force back. It's kind of world is your oyster.
because we would
You
have
could
to
grab
limit it.
reinforcements.
What about Kalaman being right there and being inhabited by the Queen's forces?
It is inhabited as indicated in Raislin's words and by the scroll itself that it is very much. There's no way. Oh, I guess it's 33 miles. Interesting. 37 miles upstream. So it is a city of the dead. You're welcome to go there. You're welcome to investigate and see what you can find. But it is overrun by the undead, just like Palanthus is. Those are two very major cities in this continent.
Because I do agree with Eddie. Their forces are probably spread thin, but we would need a really good plan. And I think we would need more people. And as it is, we've seen nobody but Draconians. So I don't think we know enough.
Raistlin did say that the queen's back is against the wall. So it is very possible that she's not doing well in this war. You might be able to help turn that tide. And perhaps if you were to work a deal to eliminate Shamash or, try to find some weapon against him, you might be able to work something out with the queen. All of these are options. You could also go to the Northern Waste or fucking Gardlund. You can go wherever you want. But I would say that those are the things that make the most sense, the most local.
I do kind of agree, at least as far as Vogler goes, that it could be tough to take without more people. But I do also kind of like the idea of maybe assassinating the orc, like since he does like patrols and shit around the city, or at least walks around the city, right? If we can.
But he's a general, which means he reports to somebody. There might be someone else in charge than just him in that city, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also thinking a general's a pretty high rank, and we could do a lot of damage by taking him out.
For sure.
Especially if we catch him in like a loosely defended place like this. Like everyone was kind of casually manning their posts,
Yeah.
like drinking and shit. Like, kind of seems like they weren't expecting a fight. But that shit could go sour real fast, and it could be us against a city. So we would need a pretty fucking good plan.
And then again, is he the only general? Is he the only person of importance there?
Yeah, that's true. So do y'all want to stick around for Vogler, or do y'all just want to go straight for Melgoth?
Or the hinterlands.
Or the hinterlands? I was kind of
It's an
thinking
unfair-
hinterlands on the way to Melgoth, because we have to go west first.
It's almost an unfair amount of options. It's kind of the Netflix syndrome.
I mean, if we're gonna go
Right.
to Megalogoth, I think taking
Melgoth.
over would be fastest. But we could pull people from the Highlands to help with Vogler, or yeah, like you said, refuge them there. But I don't mind. I mean,
Okay.
there's no harm in staying and like seeing what's up with the city. We can always decide later if we want to take it over or just dip.
Yeah, I mean, going to the hinterlands for people first and then marching on Vogler is not a bad idea.
It's not.
We're just gonna have to present them with a good plan and one that's feasible.
Mm-hmm.
I'll also say you guys are gods. It's kind of whatever is the funnest option for you guys. Because you are fucking gods.
We could probably also, basically pull guerrilla tactics and.
What if we assassinate the orc, take his head to rally the people, and then come back to reclaim Vogler?
Possibly, yeah. Because I think our biggest strength right now is that nobody knows that we're here.
Right, I agree.
But at the same time, that means that nobody knows who we are. So again, why would they fight for us? So yes, a general's head would be pretty convincing.
Yeah, I'm just thinking if we can, a general's head would be very convincing, right? And then Tarlin's like fucking like that rhymes binding ice. That shit was so goddamn powerful. Like, we might be able to just jump a single target down if we're quick about it and we land our shit.
But then if we do defeat and take over the city, that's also going to spread news and noise. So then people are going to be aware of our presence, not just in the city, but eventually further across
I
the
agree.
lands.
I
Or both
agree.
good and bad.
We really don't know how reactive, they are, even though they say the queen's back is against the wall. But apparently the undead are so active that, like, the water is just avoided.
But that was up north, not necessarily the river.
Oh, really? I thought it was on the river.
Oh,
Where is this?
did you say the undead was in the oceans up north or in the river?
Raceland indicated that the waters are cursed.
It's like all water.
So he's saying all the water. So he's
Oh,
saying
okay.
basically you could try to get this way, but it's not safe. You could try this way. It's also not safe. You could try this way through the water. It's also not safe.
So
He's
nothing.
saying this might lead to something, but it's not safe. That might lead to something, but it's not safe. That might lead to something, but it's also not safe. And he's saying that this isn't safe either, and that's not safe.
Nothing
None of
is
this.
safe.
Nothing is safe.
None of this is safe.
Whoa.
You are in a dystopian fucking future right now. So
I do
it's
kind
all-
of
it's-
like the idea of taking the general's head, trying to rally the people, and then marching on Vogler. And then, even if they hear about us at that point, I don't know, because we're gonna leave, like, the main force behind, right? Unless they're just, like, tracking the three of us, we could probably pretty subtly move down to Malgoth and on from there.
We can start with that
Yeah. Okay.
and see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what's up next session.
You want to assassinate Grogthor? Well, I need to know what you guys are going to do next session. So I gotta
that's
prep
kind of what I was trying to help
I have to prep something.
plan.
Yes, we're gonna be in Vogler for a little bit and try to work out a plan.
Next session is
in
Vogler.
general, and maybe search the hinterlands for people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that all works. I will prep some hinterland. I will prep some Vogler.
Okay. Good shit.
All right, good sesh, guys.
All right.
Great section, yeah, lots of stuff.
Yeah, fantastic. Very well done, dude. I'll go ahead
Thanks.
and stop it here.